listening to us from. So if you are listening from Abuja, tell me Abuja Owa. Because I'm your conductor. I'm not your host. I'm a conductor. I'm just conducting every single thing today. And the aim is to ensure that we are all able to participate, engage, and build meaningful connections. We've got amazing speakers and an amazing lineup today, and I am excited about it. And I'm sure Stella is also. Stella, are you looking forward to today's session? Okay. So, day 2, where are you watching from today? Please let me know, where are you watching from or listening from? And we are streaming on YouTube also. So if you're on the YouTube, oh, Port Harcourt, I'm a Bayelsa girl. It's good to see someone from Port Harcourt. Noah, that's what we will say in day. Okay, so we have someone from Port Harcourt. We have people from different parts of Nigeria and the world. That's it. We are from Abuja, we are from different places. I think there's something that we learned when we're talking about etiquette. It was about the fact that we could live local but think global. So the world is no longer just where we need to connect with people. Can everybody please mute? Seka, can you make me full also? I'm able to mute people also. Well, we talked about the fact that think about this, right? In some that help you, and like he said yesterday, hot soup for you. Please, Ernest, can you mute? Thank you. So we talked about that yesterday. So as you're telling me where you're from, we have Lagos, we have different places. Tell us what you do, one thing that you do that people need so that we can connect with you and you don't know who needs what you're offering. The good cow doesn't get fed. So let's talk about today's lineup while we are waiting for our first speaker. We have Ernest from Lagos, fantastic. So today's lineup, very first speaker we have is Abel Dawa. And he just joined us, so I'm excited to have him. So if he'll be ready in 3 minutes, I will appreciate that. Then we'll have a break, a very short break, 15 minutes. So Abel will go from 10 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. I'll say from 10 a.m. to 10:40 a.m. And then we will have 5 minutes for questions and answers. So that way it makes sense. Okay, Abel has started sharing his screen. So yes, we've tested that ability. Then we'll look at his mic also to see his ability to use the mic. Then after that, we have Nanball. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing the name well, Godfrey, and it will go for 10 a.m., 11 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. Now, there's a 15-minute break, so you could stretch so that we're not oversharing and you are not overstimulated. Because at OSP, we understand the meaning of taking breaks. Yesterday, we talked about it. Take breaks, take breaks. So we take breaks in between so that we are able to prepare you for the next session. So you will have a 15-minute break and there will be a countdown on the screen while we are on break to ensure that you know how many minutes are left on the break. Unfortunately, we won't be able to play music, but we are here to answer any questions you may have during this break. Abel, can you stop sharing your screen so that when you thank you very much. Okay, then we're going to hear from about Seka Africa from our beautiful Stella again. So I'm looking forward to hearing her share a little more about what they do. Then at 12:10, we have the beautiful Nafisa Mohammed Buba. She would also be coming on board to share, and we'll have an opportunity to hear from the octopus also today. But before that, I don't know if everybody has gotten their copy of Marketing Without a Budget, or as I said about the Brand Community Mastermind. If you've gotten a copy of the Marketing Without a Budget and you have read it, give me a thumbs up. But it's a book that I believe everyone should read. We need to also support each other. And without further ado, I would like to bring Abel on the floor. So I am going to pin both of us so that we can have a little chat before you start. Welcome on board, sir. Seka, could you help me pin spotlight
Yes,
Abel?
thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you
Good morning.
doing today? Yes.
Fine, thank you. And you?
You're good. I'm great. It's good to have you. I can't wait to see what you will do with us today. So, I'm just going to read a bit of your bio. I wanted to test your audio before I do that so that we know that once we do the drum roll and everybody gives their thumbs up, you are good to go. We've shown that you can share your screen already, so that has been checked. So I'm sure you're wondering that, who is this person that DK has been talking about? He has some qualifications and I will read them out because I don't want to distance. So it's Abel Ganko Dawa, FNIQS, RQS, FIMC, FMP, CCAP, CFLT, RFM, and he's a professional with about 2 decades demonstrated in a specific industry, which is the power, energy, and built environment. And I'm really curious about that. I'm sure you are also. He's skilled in facilities management, project management, quantity surveying, consultancy, contract administration, monitoring and evaluation, negotiation, project estimation, cost engineering, real estate, logistics, and general contracting. It's a very, very great opportunity to have him. But not only is he skilled in this, he holds a proficiency certificate in management, diploma in computer science, Bachelor of Technology and in Bachelor of Technology, degree in quantity surveying from Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, Bauchi, master's degrees in facility management again from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, masters of technology in project management in view, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University. He is a fellow of the Nigeria Institute of Quantity Surveyor. He is the managing director and executive of Jesoda Nigeria Limited, a facilities management, construction, logistics, and general contracting company, and the lead partner of Libad Award Consult, a quantity surveying and project management consultancy firm. He is a part-time lecturer. I'm just wondering whether you have 24 hours or 48 hours, because as I'm reading all these things, I'm like, no, I can't freestyle. And he's married and blessed with a wife and beautiful children. So we have a father, a husband, a man that has carried all the degrees, but not only that, he has put it into practice. Please join me as we welcome the wonderful Abel Dawa. It's a pleasure to have you here, sir.
Thank you very much. Pleasure is mine too.
Awesome. So could you remove the spotlight from me so we could have him come on board? So you have 14 minutes. Then we'll have time for questions and answers. But the floor is yours. So please, you could share your screen and then get started with us when you're ready.
Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Not yet. We can't see your screen now. While we're waiting for that, I think let's see if you have the ability to share screen.
Okay.
Could you check if we have the ability to share screen, and could you make me a co-host so that I could also?
Yeah, I've been disabled.
Yes,
They say host disabled.
yes, that I guessed as much. So please, could you give him the ability to share screen so that we could get started? But while they are doing that, it's a wonderful pleasure to meet you, sir. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. What are you going to talk to us about? Because I'm just looking at this, I'm like, I have lots to learn. Yes.
No, it's something that everybody has one thing or the has interest in. Because I believe everybody, you and I, use it every day, and that's our all I'm just going to discuss about is navigating real estate in Nigeria, opportunities and strategies. And then we're going to discuss about the crossing the T's and dotting the I's in real estate.
Oh, that is a fantastic topic, especially with all that has been going on in the past few days. I'm sure you've seen most of the demolitions. People have questions. So I'm sure people are, even me, I'm writing my questions already without even the lesson, because it has gotten people worried about investing in real estate because people fall victims to other people and things like that. So it will be wonderful to hear how we could navigate it properly and not fall victim to Omanile and all these other things that happen to people and some estates. The stories are a lot. But please, can you try sharing your screen again? Let's see if you are able to now.
Both disabled participants screen sharing.
Okay, please, either OBK or Stella, could you please enable it or make me the co-host so that I could enable it here? But while we're waiting, do you want to start talking? Or
yeah, I can. It's just that you might not be seeing my screen.
Yes.
That's just the challenge, because I went to share screen and it's not giving, it's telling me host disabled participants screen sharing.
Yes. I understand. Okay, while we're waiting, rather than keeping the room quiet, let me ask my questions. What is happening with all these demolitions?
Good morning, sir.
Yes.
You can share your screen now.
Okay,
yes.
all right.
You can share your screen now.
Okay. I'll put my question afterwards.
Yes. Can you see my screen now? Hello?
Yes, I can.
Okay. You can see my screen now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So thank you very much. Once again, we don't have time, so let me just rush as we go on. Like I said, the topic is navigating real estate in Nigeria, opportunities and strategies, and also come with the sub-team, which is crossing the T's and dotting the I's. You know, in real estate these days, you need to be careful to know and be well informed on what are the T's and for you to cross and the I's that you're supposed to dot in real estate. And so that's why I decided to just do this topic at this time. Okay. In Nigeria, we have what is called the real estate. And what is real estate? Real estate is just a name given to either land that is vacant or developed, or buildings that's residential, commercial, or industrial. And then it also has to do with a name given to structures, whether permanent fixtures like roads, bridges, and other infrastructure, or there are rights that are given to people, which is also real estate. And then it can also be interest in land, can also be termed as real estate. Now, to move further, you have to also know the sectors in the real estate industry. We have the residential, the commercial, the industrial, and the agricultural. And also we have the mixed-use developments. The mixed-use developments are those kind of developments that you have both the commercial and residential all encompassed in one land. That is what is called mixed use estates or mixed use land. And then also, we have stakeholders, those that we call stakeholders in the real estate industry. Firstly, we have those that we call the property developers. After them, we have the real estate agents and brokers. We have the architects, the engineers, lawyers, and the financial institutions and investors, and we also have government agencies and regulators. All these are part of people that are stakeholders in the real estate industry. When you see government agencies and regulators, for example, in Abuja, the regulators for real estate in Abuja, first is those are ones we call the development control. They are the ones that monitor what we develop in any land to check and see whether it conforms to what the master plan of Abuja was agreed that this is what is going to be there. For example, you go to develop real estate, for example, in central area, just beside you have a plot around NMPC Towers, and you decide to go there and then develop an estate there. That will be stopped because that area is not for housing. That area is for corporate use. It's usually for offices and other businesses that are supposed to be built there. So these are those that are for regulatory agencies that have to do with real estate in Abuja. And also when you go to Lagos, you also have those kind of people with different names. Now, before we go into the main topic or the main thing that I want us to discuss today, we need to know firstly 3 key things in real estate. Because whatever you are doing in real estate, these 3 has to do with, you must have one thing or the other to do with them. The first is called leasehold. Leasehold is a title that you have that is temporal in nature. Leasehold is usually a title that is enjoyed by people that have powers to rent. If you have the capacity or the capability to rent a property, then you are a leasehold holder. For example, Saka Africa has an office at Triple H Plaza in Uye. Triple H Plaza is a property owned by someone else, and Saka Africa is now a leasehold holder. And leaseholds can span 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, depending on the agreement that is being entered between the landlord, which is the owner of the property, and the person who is leasing the property. So the owner is usually called the lessor, while the person leasing is called the lessee. So for example, at Triple H, you have Saka Africa as the lessee, while the owner of Triple H is the lessor. So you have to know very well about leasehold before you go into real estate, because that will help you to know the right you have to a particular property you are having anything to do with. Also, you also need to know about freehold. Freehold is a title that is given to someone that has a permanent right to a property. If you have what we call the C of O, R of O, and deed of assignment, then you are a freehold holder. What it means by C of O is certificate of occupancy, signifying that the minister of FCT or the governor of a state has given you the right to own that piece of land. That makes you a freeholder of that property. And then if you go to buy land within an estate, the developer already has a C of O, and then you buying a piece of land in that estate, what you will have as a title is called deed of assignment. That is also another aspect of a freeholder, because that means that land that in that estate belongs to you. And then also we have what we call the easement. Among the 3, easement is the funniest of them all, because easement is a non-possessory interest you have in someone else's property. For example, you have someone that, a neighbor of yours that is just adjacent to your house has a land, and then you want to get access to your land, but you cannot have access to your land except you pass through to your house. By law, he is supposed to provide you with easement to your own property. So the right of way, for you to have a right, for him to provide the right for a way for you to cross and enter your own property, is what we call easement. Also, there are situations whereby you might have a power, you want to bring in power to your plot, and the power cables have to pass through another person's plot to your own plot. By law, that person that has the plot that is in front of your plot that the power cables need to pass through must give you that easement, which is the right that you have that is non-possessory to pass your power cables from his own plot to your own plot. And there are instances like in Abuja where you have this public sewer, and then maybe the main discharge point of the public sewer is in the plot of your neighbor. Also, it is by right and by law, you're supposed to lay your pipes from your house to under his own plot to take your discharge pipe to the drainage pipe that is the public sewer. That right must be given to you by your neighbor. And all these are termed as easement, which is the right for you to have access or things that have to do with you having comfort in your own plot, but has to do with another person's plot. That is what we mean by easement. Please, are you following me? If yes, can I hear or can I see on the
Yes,
I'm following you,
chat
sir.
box?
I'm following you, sir.
Okay. So I hope you are following.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So now we're coming into the big masquerade. Land banking. Like I said, before you talk of land banking, you must first know what a freehold is, what a leasehold is, and what easement is. Because whatever you are doing in land, those three terms that I earlier mentioned must be adhered to in land banking. For example, land banking is all about you and me investing in land, buying land and acquiring it and holding it for a future development or sale. Most times, land banking is for people that wants to keep land and resale in the future when it appreciates in value. And that is why when you see places like Guzape, Wuye in the past, those districts were places where people that had foresight decided to invest in getting allocation to some plots in that area. And I have clients and friends that have done that in the past. And then what happens? When you buy, for example, there are those that bought lands at Guzape and Wuye. Some bought 1,000 maybe 1,200 square meters of land at maybe say 20 million at the time they bought it. I'll shock you. At today, that same plot that they bought for 20 million is going for almost 200 million or more. So those that are specifically investors in land, all they just need to do is to do what? Is to now go ahead and say, okay, I'm selling my land because it has appreciated to the value that I want. So land banking is all about you buying land and then keeping it for future resale to get return on investment. And that is what some clients always do. For example, I bought the land for 20 million and I'm selling it for say 200 million. I can decide to sell it for 200 million and then go back again to another district, for example, that I know that is coming up, maybe Guzape 2. Since I bought the first land in Guzape 1, I'll go to Guzape 2 and say, okay, the plots there are now going for like 10 million naira or so per plot. I'll go again and buy a plot there and process the CFO and wait. when development comes into Guzape 2, all I just need to do again is to wait. The land maybe that I might buy in Guzape 2 for, let's say, for 50 million now. In the next few years, I'll end up maybe selling it for 400 to 500 million at that same location, because I have allowed the land to appreciate after some time or some years. This is land banking. And land banking is something, for example, members of Octopus Speakers Pool can decide to say, okay, we want to go into land banking. And land banking has benefits, which is one of the benefits is that you have appreciation in land value over time. The value of land always appreciates. Land is one of the key investments that you do that you never lose out. And then also, there is potential for high returns on investment. That is why you see most people now are going into real estate. It is one of the things that are high risk, but also high turnover, high return on investment. Also, there are opportunities for you to what? To develop or sell in the future. But the issue of the development is in another topic that I will just discuss after the land banking, which is what most people go into when they are discussing land banking. So land banking normally is all about you purchasing land and then keeping it for a period of time, a period of years, and then selling it out and then making extra money return on your investment. And the risks associated with land banking usually involve market fluctuations, regulatory changes, and then land speculation. Why I said land speculation and regulatory changes. For example, you might have some persons coming to sell land to you and they will tell you that, there is a new district that is being opened. For example, I know of one that I can give you a good example with. There is a place on your way to Kubwa, after Kubwa, if you are going to Dede, they call the place Kagini. It's a district that was opened up some years back, about 10 years or more, over 10 years ago. What happened was that people rushed and keyed into buying properties, lands in that area with the hope that the minister is going to award the contract for infrastructure to develop that area. Yes, the minister awarded the contract for the development of that particular area, that district of Kagini. And so my clients bought 8 hectares of land and then decided to start building estates there. But what happened? Immediately the minister left, the new minister came in and said his interest is not on that area and that district. And what happened? For the past over 10 years, that district has remained the same way it has been for the past 10 years. No development and no any change or increase in value of that land. So that is one aspect of land speculation. You might end up going for land banking, but if you are not well guided or advised, you will end up buying land that you will end up not having any interest or return on investment on that land for a long period of time. So when you are going to engage in the business of land banking, you have to be very careful to make sure that you are not going to buy land in an area that you will not have return on your investment over a short period of time. Also, land banking has strategies. Firstly, you must be able to research and do due diligence to identify areas with growth potential and proximity to infrastructure and regulatory compliance. For example, there are those that bought land in Uye, for example. In the past, Uye, the only property in Uye that people go to, that makes people go to Uye, was Family Worship Center, and then the finance quarters in Uye. These are the two places that anybody going to Uye will go to. And they didn't have roads, and then plots were there, but they were laying bare. But people that had foresight invested in buying such plots because They were closer to Utako that has infrastructure already and Jabi that has infrastructure. So within a short period of time, there was development that gave the opportunity for infrastructure to be contract to be awarded for Uye. And within the twinkle of an eye, Uye that used to sell plots for 20 million, 30 million. For you to get plot in Uye now to buy a plot of land, you must cough out hundreds of millions of naira to buy plots in Uye. Because as at the time, those that bought the plots, they were using it for land banking. They bought it because they did research and due diligence on what are the future trends in Uye, and they got it right. Also, you must be able to identify reliable landowners and purchase the land from reliable landowners. These days, there are scam people. People scam each other when it comes to land. And you find people having CFOs, like 2 or 3 CFOs for a particular plot. Meanwhile, one person is the real owner of that plot. The others are fake. So you have to be very careful to be able to know the real people to go and transact any land business with. And you must be able to secure necessary documents and titles. That is where you now have any land that you are buying. This is an advice. Any land you are buying in any area, either in Abuja, in Lagos, or in any part of the country. First, for Abuja, I will tell you that the first thing to do is to get a copy of the certificate of occupancy of that land, or the right of occupancy of that plot or that land. And then what do? You get it. The next thing to do is for you to go to Aegis. Aegis is Abuja Geographical Information System. It is located at the Area 11, where FCDA is. You go there with a copy of the CFO and then pay a particular sum of money, and then they will do a search for you. That's what it's called. It's called search. They will search it and then write on it and say, yes, this property is given in our books or in our files or in our records. This property is for Mr. ABC that has the name that is on this CFO is what we have in our system. And so this land is genuine. You can go ahead and continue the process of your purchase of that land. But
Okay, sir, sorry, because the people are saying they can't really see your slides. So could you just go into presentation mode so it's large enough? And
okay.
Yes, we've got like 17 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you see it now?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. So you have to be very careful in knowing which of the lands you are going to, which of the papers. Even the CFOs that you see, some are not genuine and some are fake. That is why you need to go to Aegis to confirm the authenticity of the CFO before you continue and proceed with any transaction you are doing on land. Also, if it is in a state, you must be sure to get the governor's consent. And then for places in Abuja where you have estate developers selling plots of land to individuals to develop on your own, what you need to do also is you have to get, after getting the CFO and confirming that it is genuine, you need to get what we call deed of assignment. Deed of assignment is where the owner of the land has the certificate of occupancy, but he has demarcated the land into smaller pieces of the land for real estate. For those that have estates, that is what they do these days. They cut the land into plots. For example, you might have 1 hectare of land and decide, okay, I want to turn it to 450 square meters of land so that I can sell it to individuals instead of selling it all to one person. So that being done, if you confirm that the CFO is genuine, the owner of that estate, that's the property developer, will now give you what we call deed of assignment. It is that deed of assignment that you will hold as a title to that plot that you have in that estate. That is now what is called your certificate of occupancy. And then you take that deed of assignment and go and register it with Aegis. They have an office that deals with deeds. So you take that deed of assignment and go there and register it, because in the future, you can also now apply, also you and some of your neighbors in that estate can go and apply for your own certificate of occupancy based on the deed of assignment that you have and based on the certificate of occupancy of the developer being authentic and genuine. Any question? Or I should continue? Do you have any question? Are you following? Hello?
Yes, sir. We are following. Following.
Okay, thank you. Also, now we've discussed land banking. The next thing we're supposed to discuss is mutual funding, which is what I think and I believe the OSP can key into, because this is where you will make more money. And then in mutual funding, just like the land banking, you don't lose, except if you decide to take decisions that are not favorable to you. But if you are able to take the right decisions and you are able to do due diligence, mutual funding is a very good avenue to invest in. By definition, mutual funding involves pooling resources with others to invest in real estate projects. For example, Coach Sam, OBK, Stella, and every other member, Shegun, and the rest will decide to say, okay, all of us, we want to invest in real estate. Okay, what do we do? For example, all of us, I as a person, don't have all the monies to invest in the land. And maybe the land, for example, we have a land in Uye or in Guzape that is going for 200 million. And we want to go into mutual funding. But one of us cannot buy, doesn't have the 200 million to go ahead and buy the land. What do? We come and say, okay, OBK, how much do you have? OBK will say, oh, I have 5 million. Shegun will say he has 10 million. Stella might say she has 1 million. And then another person, Coach Sam, will say, oh no, I have 50 million. And then I will also say, maybe I have 40 million. And then when you now bring in all the funds together and we're able to gather 200 million, the first thing to do is that we'll first of all do our due diligence, just like the land banking, to confirm that the plot is genuine and that the papers are okay. Once we find out that the papers are genuine and are okay, the next step is to pay for that land. And when we pay for the land, it now becomes our own. The next thing we need to do as members of OSP and as mutual fund participants, the next thing to do is what? Is to say, okay, what do we do with the land? We start thinking, do we develop it? Yes. How do we develop it? We bring in funds again to do what? To build it. Or we can decide to say, okay, since we have this land, we don't have the money to develop the land, but there is another way we can go about it. What do we do? First, before I tell you what you do, you need to know what are the benefits of mutual funding. You have shared risk and cost, because you are not the only one that is involved in it. So the risk is what is minimized. So when something happens, it doesn't happen to only you, it happens to everyone that is also has invested in that land. Also, you have access to larger projects and developments. For example, these are 200 million. Maybe we're able to get, let's say, 4,000 square meters of land. You see, it is big. We can now come and sit down and say, okay, another benefit we have is that we have potential for higher returns through collective investment. But mind you, there are risks involved in mutual funding also. But like we said, and we know, all of us know, that the higher the risk, the higher the return. Dependence on other investors. Whatever you are doing, you must depend on the other person that is also an investor in that mutual fund. You also have potential for disagreements or disputes. If you are not united in pursuing this investment of mutual funding, you cannot progress. You have challenges. And then you also have regulatory complexities. For example, when we bought the land, we thought the land is high density, but we just discovered that we spent 200 million for a low density land. What it means is that in land, we have 3 densities in Abuja. We have the low density, medium density, and the high density. The low density is for individual houses, 1 or 2 persons in by building a house on that plot. So you can't build more than 2 persons cannot live on that plot. That is low density. And then the medium density is the one that you have about 5 or 6 families living on that plot, which is medium density. And then the high density is the one that you can have like over 10 or more families living on that property, having houses, 10 or more houses on that property, which is high density. The risks that I said about regulatory complexities is that maybe on the C of O, it is written medium density or low density, and you thought it was high density, and you have started planning, oh, we're going to sell this plot, we're going to cut these plots into like 20 and sell them off to individual people. When we sell it, we're going to make, for example, each plot that we're going to make we're going to do it like for 400 square meters, and we're going to sell it for, let's say, 50 million, and when we sell 20 of it, 50 times 2, it's going to give us what? About 1 billion naira. So you see, at the end of the day, you are buying the plot of land for 200 million and you are selling it for 1 billion. So you are making a profit of what? Return on investment of 800 million. But what if the land is a low density land? You might not be able to do that. So that is the risk. But meanwhile, again, the good thing about mutual funding is that you can do joint venture partnerships. Joint venture partnerships are collaboration between individuals and companies to develop a project. For example, we, OSP, come together and then we decided to aggregate our funds and then buy that land for 200 million. And then we sit down and we look for investors and we say, okay, we need somebody to do a joint venture with us, which we call JV. And then lo and behold, a developer will come and say, I have the funds that, to build this estate into 20 5-bedroom terrace duplexes. We can now sit down with the person and say, okay, since you have the funds, we own the land. So what do we do? Okay, the person can develop 20 units of 5-bedroom duplexes, terrace duplexes on that particular land that we have, that we bought for 200 million. We'll sit down and think of, okay, the 5 units, the 20 units of the terrace duplexes, upon completion, how much are we going to sell it? We decided, okay, each of those duplexes is going to go for, let's say, 80 million or 100 million per duplex. What do we do now? We check 100 times 20 is going to give us what? 2 billion naira as the cost of developing and selling those plots. And then the developer will also say, okay, in this 2 billion that we're getting, is going to cost me, that is developing it, is going to cost me 800 million to develop this terrace duplexes. So 800 million is the cost of development by the developer. Meanwhile, the 200 million is the cost of us, the mutual funds we put into buying that land. So what do? We add the 200 and the 800, which makes it what? 1 billion. But see what happens. It's on percentage. What is the percentage? What is the value of my property? We, as OSP, what is the value of the plot that we're giving to the developer? Maybe we bought it for 200 million, but as at the time we're discussing with the developer, the price of the land has skyrocketed from 200 million to, let's say, 450 or 500 million. What will happen now is that the developer will check, okay, he's developing it for 800, while the cost of the land, as at the time we're bargaining with him for a joint venture, it cost us 500 million. So you see, 500 million and 800 million is what? When you add it together, it will give you 1.3 billion. 1.3 billion. When you check 800 million, what is the percentage of 800 million in 1.3 billion? Whatever is the percentage now makes it what is now like the contribution of the developer to that property.
So we've got 5 minutes left. I'm not sure
Okay,
we'll
5
have
minutes.
time for
Okay.
Q&A. Yes.
Okay. So when we do that, for example, at the end of the day, we're able to sell, we do a joint venture that is usually in Abuja, you find joint ventures are in like 40, 60 percentage. The developer that brings in his funds takes 60% of whatever is the value of the property on that land that he develops, while we that have the mutual fund takes 40% of the land. And let's assume we end up selling the land, everything on that lot, we end up selling it for 2 billion. What it means is that we're able to get what we invested, we and the developer invested 1.3 billion, but we got 2 billion as the cost of everything on the land. What we do is that you take out, you say, okay, 2 billion minus 700 minus 1.3 billion, it gives you 700 million. 700 million is now the profit, the return on investment on that property. You now check if, for example, we do a 60-40 on that property and we have 20 properties on that land, the developer takes, for example, 60% of the 20 houses, which gives you about, let's say 14 houses or 12 houses. And then we that have the property, that the land, we now take like 6 of the houses or 8 of the houses. What now happens is that where we get to calculate our return on investment is that we go now and check, okay, we have the property, we have 6 units and we sell each unit at another 100 million or 120 million, which gives us 120 times 6 is going to give us 600, and then another 6, 2 times 6 is giving you 12. So about 720 million is what we are gaining as interest, return on investment on that property. What we do next is to check, okay, now, how much did each of us contribute to that mutual fund? Coach Obafemi contributed 50 million. And what is 50 million in 200 million in the beginning? 50 million in 200 million is 25%. So whatever we have as in 720 million, we have to give him 25% of 720 million is going to go to Coach Sam. Then OBK brought in 10 million. And what is 10 million in 200 million as at the time we invested? Maybe 10 million is, let's say 10% or 10% of that particular amount. So we go again in 720 million naira, 10% of it is what? 72 million. We now give OBK 72 million as his return on investment for investing, for bringing in his 10 million to put into that land that we bought. Oh, likewise, every other person, whatever they bring in as their contribution is what you check. What is the percentage of that which they brought in the total sum that was gathered? That is what you give it to them as their return on investment, because that is how the mutual fund model works. Crowdfunding is also another model of mutual funding, and we have cooperative societies, and there will also legal and regulatory considerations. We have the land ownership, regulatory approvals, like the development control. You make sure that everything you are doing, you get permissions or permits before you carry them out, so that tomorrow they will not come and demolish what you have spent and wasted time and resources to build. And it has to do with compliance also. And then case studies of land banking and mutual funds are so much. We have them in Lagos, in Abuja, and other parts of the country. And then some additional points to consider. Each and every one of us, if you are going into land banking and mutual funding, you must understand the local market and the demands before you go into. land banking and mutual funding. And then you also must consider working with a real estate agent or a lawyer so that you will not be scammed or some people will take advantage of you and tomorrow you are losing money. You also must be aware of potential scams and fraudulent activities because it is much in Abuja and Lagos when it comes to land. And then you must keep up to date with changing regulations and laws that have to do with land. Today, they might tell you that, this land is for commercial, or this land is supposed to be for residential. And tomorrow they will tell you that government has changed the use of that particular area where you bought the land to an educational purpose use, or they have changed it to health. Maybe you're supposed to build an estate there, but tomorrow you hear that government has turned it to what? An hospital or a school or a commercial development. So you have to always keep up to date with changing regulations and laws before you engage in any business that has to do with real estate and land. And then you have to consider diversifying your investment portfolio because that is key to you getting return on investment on your property. And then conclusion and final thoughts, real estate in Nigeria offers opportunities for growth and investment. And then land banking and mutual funding can be effective strategies. And then you have to have careful planning, research, and compliance are very essential for you to engage in mutual fund and land banking. And then you also have to navigate real estate in Nigeria because you must be cautious and require expertise for you to go. And then don't forget to seek professional advice and guidance from those that you know that are experts in that area. And then you must stay informed and adapt to changing market conditions because that is what will help you to get returns on investment, to know whether the prices of land have appreciated or not. So that somebody will not come and tell you the land is still 25 million when the land is now 80 million. So you have to be abreast with information on the market conditions of land. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. I was even going to say, well, you need more time because there was so much to digest.
There was so much to say, but the time is short.
Yeah,
so
we
I had to
started
rush.
even late, so we're supposed to that's why we gave you the 2 minutes extra. And we'll see if we have questions. So you have time to answer a couple of questions from us because you talked a lot about foresight right now. So people that invested in the past, how do you see for now that for people that want to invest now?
Yes.
How do you see or what should they look out for? You may not be able to say, oh, this area at this point in time before people say, oh, you said go and invest in here and then they go and invest.
Tomorrow they will say I'm the
exactly. Cost. So this is not legal advice. This is not anything that we will hold against you. But if we are to look for signs, because I remember when I was young, as a child of the 80s, some people bought land in Lekki and all these other areas, and they benefited tremendously when it came up. So how does someone tell? Is it a university going into a town, even if it's a secluded area, or like what happened in Canaan land and things like that? Or what are the signs that people should look out for? And please, if you have any questions, let us have them in the chat because most people are fallen victims to these land issues. And take a screenshot of this page. So in case you did not type the email address well, so you can reach out to him. He is the person to talk to at this point in time. Ask him questions. If you want to ask him questions privately, I'm sure he will allow you to. His email address is there. He even gave you his phone number. So, sir, please, what would you say we should look out for as people that want to start investing in land?
Okay. The first thing you're supposed to check is to confirm whether that district has been gazetted by government as a district. For example, in Abuja, you will discover that there are new districts that are coming up. That's if for those that have stayed in Abuja for a long time. Initially, there was nothing like Guzape when Abuja started. What I mean by Guzape, most people didn't know anything about Guzape. Most people call Guzape Asokoro extension. That is what they call Guzape. And at the time, most people thought Guzape was nothing because there were no, it's rocky. Guzape mainly, that's why it is called Guzape in Bagi. It is a rocky area. And then you have places like Uye and other. Once you see government presence in an area, then you should know that they will have an interest in it and they will provide that land is going to in the future is going to yield some dividends for you if you see government presence there. And then also, if you see things like investments, people investing in that area, if you see people going there to invest in that area, when I mean invest, not just buying the land, if you see people building schools, building factories or things that have to do with people going there to transact one business or the other, you should, that's a flag, a red flag to tell you that this is a place to invest in. And then also, if you check, you also have to be very close to those that are in agencies of government. For example, in Abuja, you also need to get close to people that are in AGs, work with AGs, and those that work with development control and all these other government agencies, because they know where they have in their budgets or in their plans for the future. For example, when Abuja was developing, we have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and phase 5 of Abuja. What people did was that when they discovered what phase 1 is, some went to phase 1 because they knew that government's interest is in phase 1 based on budget. Yes. Phase 1 is where we call Garki areas 1, 2, 3, and so on. That is Abuja phase 1. So those that were in Abuja as at that time, they knew that developments were around that area. They quickly went and got plots that are still vacant in those areas, and they cashed out on them. And then like that, phase 2 also came in, and then phase 3, phase 4, like that. And we're even having phase 5. And that is where you see people rushing to now, even though the government is still saying that they have not brought out the layout, or they don't have COOs for those areas. But that is where people are now running to. That when you go to Airport Road and all those railway area, the Idu railway station, that is Abuja phase 5 in the master plan of Abuja. Yes. So these are some of the things that you look and consider before you go
invest.
And then when you see government issuing out certificate of occupancies in particular area, you should know that it is going to be give you yield on your investment, so you can go and buy lands in those areas.
Interesting. I think I will take that advice, because as somebody not living in Nigeria, sometimes you want to start investing, but you're kind of worried. Should I just build a house in my village, or do I do something in Abuja? But thank you so much for your time, sir. I did have an amazing time with you, and I learned a lot about land. I have never heard of land banking till today, so my new vocabulary is land banking. And I am excited to see people reach out to you with their questions privately, because I think some people do want to do that. But I want to say thank you to our first guest for today's session. Now we're going to go on a 7-minute break so that we will be back on top of the hour, and then we'll have our next guest. So 7 minutes, there's going to be a timer on the screen, and it should be showing to everybody soon. I don't know if you can see the timer so that you know that the clock has started. Fantastic. So that's the timer on the screen. We'll be back by 11, and then we will be able to meet our next guest. And our next guest is no surprise, another OSP Dynamite. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll be right back. Cheers. And we are back. Hi, everyone. Let's get back into the room. If you're not here, you're about to miss on a very, very, very important conversation. So let's stop the timer from showing and get back to business. Welcome back. I'm sure you had an amazing time listening to the conversation about real estate. But we have another conversation, and I believe all conversations are important. I don't know if my next speaker is in the room, but his name is Nanboy Godfrey, and I am excited about this conversation for so many reasons, because I love his background, and I'll read that for you once I have him in the room. So please let me know if he's in, and if he's in, he should just give me a wave. And that will make me add him, or another of the co-hosts could find him, because I can't seem to see him. Okay, fantastic. So where is he? All right, could someone reach out to the next speaker so that we can get Nanbol into the room? But the first conversation about real estate really, really got me. As I was like, time is up. We had questions, and people could still ask their questions, and we could have a chat. Because especially with what has been going on in the past couple of weeks in Nigeria, people are scared. But it kind of renewed my confidence in the system, and I'm sure it did that for you. And it also made me realize that whatever is happening, there's a pattern to the madness. So even if everybody is going to build in a certain area, this is what I have learned: ask the right questions to the right people. Pay for searches. Don't say my friend told me and I trust that person. People can have 3 CFOs for the same property, but there's one that is authentic. So you want to ensure that you're not dealing with the wrong person when you are investing your hard-earned money into something amazing as real estate. I was checking if I was muted. So let's play a little game to catch up. Can everybody hear me? If you can hear me, tell me yes. And if you can't hear me, tell me no. Then I will know who can hear me or who can't hear me. How is my audio? Oh, fantastic. I'm getting all the yeses. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, everybody can hear me. No, it's a quiet house. So let's recap a little bit of what we've done so far. Last week, May edition, the first day 1, we talked a little bit about behavioral issues that founders go through. So we realized that we go through a lot of stress. So I want us to kind of unstress before the next speaker comes up. And when we are able to do that, we'll be able to refocus our energy and receive from them person. I like to do a little exercise when it comes to time management, and I'm going to share that little exercise with you. And it will require your pen and paper. So we're going to do a weekly reflection. Yes, a week has gone by and we want to know how your week went. So we're going to do a little weekly reflection for you as a founder, as an entrepreneur, as somebody that is killing it where they are. I will answer just a couple of questions, 2 questions to be precise, to help you understand and review your week by yourself. Now, did you focus your energy on what you wanted to focus your energy on? So this is a question. Every week, there are certain things that you wanted to do that you did not do. So the first question you ask, just answer, please tell me if you're writing, because I'll be writing also, is how was your week? How was your week? Did you do what you said you were going to do? It's a simple question. Did you do what you said you were going to do? Is it a yes or a no? So how was your week? For now, just write fine. Did you do what you were going to do? Yes or no? If you worked this week the way you worked, will you achieve the goals that you want to achieve? So that's the third question. The first one was simple. Someone should tell me the first question again so that others in the house will hear. So question 1, how was your week? Question 2, did you complete everything you wanted to complete? And question 3 is simply this. Remember, you're being honest. If you, as a founder, as a co-founder, as a support staff, or whatever you do, lived your week the way you will live it this week, will you reach your goals? My week was 100 over 100. See, people are listening. So the answer to yours is yes. And I like us reflecting on our week. So we're going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Did you spend time on the right things, or did you spend time on the wrong things? Did you find yourself scrolling on social media, or did you find yourself procrastinating and not doing what you're supposed to do to move your business forward? When we come for these webinars, we get quite a lot of things. We learn a lot, but we also have to understand that we need to apply what we learn to our businesses. So that's why, as a founder, it's good to sit with yourself and ask yourself those difficult questions that nobody will ask you, because you're the boss. You're the one that says you will do this. So it's about self-accountability. Yes, I said self-accountability. And that's such a one of the simple practices I do weekly. I ask myself that question or those questions, because this is why I am asking you to say the question. If you lived your week this week, the way you lived your week this week, would you achieve the goals that you want to achieve? Because if you were, for example, if you aspire to be someone like Bill Gates, do you think Bill Gates is living this week the way you lived your week? That's another way to look at it. Because we want to have the right thing, we want to get the right clients, we want to do all these things, but most of us like the idea rather than the implementation. So I want OSP family to be a family that implements, a family that reflects, a family that focuses, that understands that in order for me to be the best, I have to give my best. So showing up 100 is fantastic for you. When you show up, you show up. When you walk, you walk. When you play, you play. That should be our motto. When I walk, I walk. I show up 100%. When I rest 100%. When I play 100%. Because if you don't do that, what will happen is you'll find yourself not even getting the best. You find yourself not getting the best, giving yourself the best, providing the best for not just yourself, for your team. The team is dependent on you. You are dependent on you. So the ball is in your court on how you want it to roll. And let me know if those questions were useful for you, because I feel that they are. And if they were, please make that a daily practice or a weekly practice, whichever one works for you. And trust me, the reason many people don't accomplish their goals is because they don't reflect. They have the system, they have the goals, but they just keep moving. So what I've just done with you is something we call pause and reflect. So when you're trying to achieve your goals, instead of you to just keep moving, you need to take time to actually pause. Don't stop. And this is what I mean by pause. Most times when we are accomplishing something and it gets difficult and the things are not going the way we want them to, we just abandon it and move on. We don't even realize that we're distracted by all the other things, but the main thing itself, we did not do it. But when we take time to pause and reflect, everybody say pause and reflect. When we take time to pause, not stop, and reflect, we are able to do our own personal audits by ourselves, for ourselves. And that would make you a wonderful person to not just your family, but to your team, but also to yourself, because you owe yourself the best. You owe yourself the best at every single point in time to ensure that you are able to be present and confident that you are leading people right down the right path. Okay, so we are still waiting on our speaker. I don't know if there's any updates, because we are working with time. I think he's having technical issues with what I got last. is joining in a minute. Oh, fantastic. That's not a problem. Please, okay, please, could you follow up and ensure that he joins? And then we will be able to start, but we'll have to look at the time so that everybody finishes early. It's a Saturday. We want to ensure that our teammates are doing well. So let's have a chat quickly while we are waiting. So this time I can say anybody can unmute and talk to me. Do you have any questions when it comes to time management or content creation that I can answer? OSP will give you the best, or putting your business online. Let's try and steal my brain for a few minutes. If you don't have questions, I will come up with questions I get asked frequently. One of which is, why do I need to post online? Why can't my social media manager do everything for me? The reason you employ a social media manager is to amplify your voice. Every single person listening to this call has skills, has interest, has different things that they do that they need to amplify. Now, your social media manager or your manager, especially if you're a founder, doesn't have the skills, the experience, and all these things that you have. So even if they are posting on social media for you, which you should have a very strong online presence. And what I mean by a strong online presence, I will get to if our speaker doesn't come on time. But what they are doing for you is just giving what you do a bigger voice. But there are certain aspects that you have to do by yourself. So it's something I call having clarity. So in order for them to amplify your voice, which is the third stage of the No Gra social media plan, because it's not stressful, it's simple, is that you need to gain clarity. Then you simplify the message with the social media manager, and then they amplify it for you. So before you get a social media manager, these are the things you need to do. You need to have a clear, written, articulated brand strategy. And it simply has to do with you asking yourself, ABC. Who am I as a brand? Who do I serve as my audience? So that's your B. So it's audience, brand, and that gives you your clear message for your content. So we say audience clarity. Who are these people? Don't expect your social media manager, your virtual assistant to answer these questions for you. There's sometimes that they give you forms to fill, you'll be like, no, I don't want to do it. Let it be that they are getting the people that can pay the amounts that you want them to pay. Let it be that they are able to work with what you've given them, but you need to answer these things for them. So you get clear about who you are as a brand, about who you serve, and that helps you create content. Now, when it comes to content, you're answering 5 things. I call it coupon, and now there's an F. So there's you are looking at questions people are asking. You need to answer questions people are asking. Your content should focus on answering questions. It should also look at problems they are facing. You know these problems, put it down. Objections they would have for working with you. Someone's like, oh, why should I work with you to buy land when I can just go and do it myself? Those are objections. Have a response to that and focus on their needs. What are their needs? You now look at it. And the last one I just added is their fears. Think about their fears. What are their fears? And we can't go into details about that, but just remember questions people need answered about your brand, about your agency, about your product. Think in advance. So this becomes your frequently asked question, and you give these things to the people. And without further ado, I'm going to give Nanbol a couple of seconds to get himself ready, and we will get started. So once I get to the fears, Nanbol, that's your signal to come on board. So we look at the questions, we look at the problems these people are facing. So if you talk to parents, what are the problems parents face? You write those problems down, you think of a few steps, and then give it to your social media manager. Objections, why should I work with a coach like you? I'm a parent, I should know these things. all those things that people use to discredit you, you want to give a non-emotional response to it. What do these people need? A non-emotional thing. And what are their fears? Your content should address their fears. And let us all start doing videos with this short formula. And without further ado, I would like to welcome Nanball. Nanball, could you please switch on your camera so that I know that you are able to see us, or rather we are able to see you, and we could get started. And then you'll be able to unmute also. I think you should be able to unmute. If not, let me know and I will get to you. So Godfrey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
fantastic. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome on board. It's so good to have you with me today. I'm going to add you so that we are side by side and we can have a short conversation. All right. Could you switch on your camera, please?
Please just give me a second. I'll do that in a few
Okay.
seconds, please. Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you.
So while we are waiting for him, we will be able to check if you got the coupon. And if you have any quick questions about that, you can put it in the chat. Questions, problem, objection, needs, just write coupon. And then there's an F there that I haven't thought of a name for. It used to be called coupon before, but we just added F to it last week. So you're the first to hear about it. The team OSP. Okay. Fantastic. So we have Nanball here, and while we're waiting for him to get his technical issues sorted. So you said, can share you on the path, please? Are you saying I should share the coupon on the chat?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Can you
I
help
said
us?
people should take notes. I'm a teacher. You did not take notes. It's not names of noisemaker. But you will get on a list. Okay. Hi, Nanball. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And sorry for putting you on the spot. I was I had a little technical issues this morning, and
See, we all know technical issues are often, especially when it's a live recording. And I wanted you to be as comfortable as possible during this section so that you can share without feeling so stressed. But let me do a little introduction about you and then you correct me. Did I get the pronunciation correctly? Nanball.
Yeah, 2 syllables, correct.
Oh, fantastic. 2 syllables. I love that. Nanball Godfrey is the founder of Nanball Global Resources. It's a B2B consultancy firm aimed at filling the sourcing gap in the manufacturing industry with focus on raw materials, sourcing, procurement, and supply chain management. In addition to that, you think that's the end? No. He is also the team lead and founder of Bolicex.
Bolic X.
Bolic X. Okay. Bolic
Yeah,
X.
well, yes.
A blockchain education, crypto trading, investment advisory, and portfolio management company. It's like everybody speaking today is double-barreled. Honestly, I'm just wondering, where did we find you all? Nanball is a certified blockchain expert, certified media content producer, social media strategist, and a graduate of Christian theology from the GDC Bible Institute, Lagos. He is also an alumnus of Business Study Group and Tensian University, Anambra State, Lagos campus, Nigeria. He loves to research and share knowledge. He's a writer, a teacher, a public speaker, and he is known in the Nigerian crypto space as a new knowledge source with access to various communities of more than 15,000. I was thinking it's 1,500. No, you didn't hear that. 50,000 members directly and indirectly, which it trains on crypto trading, technical and fundamental analysis. It provides trading signals and helps traders mitigate losses while applying proper risk management. It manages hedge funds. Okay, I was thinking it has stopped. Portfolio management for many investors. He has a personal vision, and this is what I love, to fast track the adoption of blockchain in Africa with major focus on NFTs and the metaverse. Without further ado, please, everybody, let me see the emojis coming up. Welcome, the one, the only, Nambo. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
My name is DK.
Okay, DK. Thank you, Coach DK. And thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you, Coach Sam. Thank you, Sobka, for having me. I have been a member of this community for quite a while, and I respect this community. And I've actually been running from this community, you know.
I know
there are great minds here, and well, okay, so can I go ahead?
You can go ahead.
All right, so I have been introduced. Can I please do without the video? Okay, sure.
You want to do without the video, but share your screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, sure. If that would be better for you, yes, that's perfect.
Yeah, that would be better because I had to find a way to get this video on. So it's
sure.
Yeah.
That's not a problem. If we have questions, we'll then bring it back. But sure, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So let's get this video on. All right, so if I'm still audible, can I get some emojis in the chat box? If I'm still audible.
Yes, you're audible, but will you be sharing your screen?
Yes, I'll be sharing my screen. I'll be sharing
fantastic.
my screen.
All right,
Yeah,
okay. All right.
All right, so you've heard my portfolio. I am a supply chain management expert, and I am also a blockchain enthusiast, that's the word. And I love to share knowledge, basically. And one of my vision for Africa, basically, is to see that the adoption of blockchain, you know, gets to every nook and cranny of Africa. And I hope that someday we'll achieve that, because even though Nigeria is on the list of some of the highest blockchain users, crypto users, we are still very, very far back, behind in terms of the technology itself. Because blockchain has so much potential, but we are not using many of those potentials already here. We are not applying them here in Africa. No, we are doing our best. All right, so I'll be sharing my screen in a bit. But okay, let me share my screen first. Please give me a bit. Give me a second. Okay, yeah. Where do I share my screen? Okay. All right, so I can't share my screen. Can you please enable me to share my screen? DK, please, are you there? Can you enable me to share my screen?
Yes, you be the co-host. You will be able to do that shortly.
All right, thank you. Obi.
You're now the co-host, so you'll be able to share.
Yeah, I'm doing just that. I'm doing just that. All right. If you can see my screen, can I get an emoji in the chat
I'm
box?
seeing your screen, I'm seeing the movies, and I'm really curious.
Yes, so please be. All right, so this is not how this was supposed to come up, but I don't use Zoom much. I am more familiar with what's this? I'm trying to get my thing is blocking me. Yeah. I'm trying to get my slideshow here. This thing is blocking me.
Okay, you want to do a full screen for your slide? I'm so used to
This
camera.
Zoom.
Okay, if you would like to do full screen, you can just get to your view, you will see full screen.
Yes, the okay, this
The view beside your recording, the tab.
the view beside my recording.
Where you have your slideshow. Can you see your slideshow?
Yeah, I can see that.
By the search, just up.
It's confusion here.
I can see
Which
it
one
from
is
my
it?
answer.
Leave the screen. Where we have the what?
You can see where the zoom is, where it says zoom, then look at slideshow on top of that. You can put it on slideshow. Click on that, you will see it will go to slideshow. You see where it shows zoom?
The Zoom tab is blocking the whole thing. That's the problem. The Zoom tab is blocking me. I can't view.
Then you can just put your.
How can I minimize the Zoom tab?
Just wait, listen. Put your cursor on the zoom tab and slide it down so that it goes away from the view.
Thank you.
Now click on that slideshow.
Thank you so much. I'm not used to.
No problem.
Yeah.
You all learned it one way or the other.
Thank you. All right, so we can start now. Again from the beginning. Aha. All right, so this is how this was supposed to be. All right, so thank you once again. If you have seen this movie, The Throne Legacy, if you have seen it, can I get an emoji, any emoji in the tab in the chat box? I believe virtually everybody here have seen these movies. And what it means is that if you have seen this movie, you've had a metaverse experience. You may not have had a VR run on AR run, but you've had a metaverse experience. Meaning that you've seen the metaverse, you've seen how it operates, you've seen how it works. Like the Ready Player One, the movie, you know, you could see it was like a game. And there were a lot of things within that game, and players could buy, could sell, could exchange a lot of things, and life could be added, people could be killed, they could be killed, they could get new lives and so many other things. It was a real world replicated in another world, in the technology world. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Sure. All right, thank you. So it was a real world replicated in a new world. And that's what I'm talking about today. The metaverse. I have been introduced. And so there's no need for all of this. I'm Nambo Godfrey. The DK introduced me earlier. And I am an entrepreneur. I operate Bolix, a blockchain company, and Nambolic Global Resources, a B2B enterprise. I love to share knowledge, and I want to see that the blockchain knowledge is spread around Africa. That's the most important thing for me. And today I want to discuss some business opportunities in the metaverse. There are a lot of business opportunities in the metaverse. And the metaverse itself is another aspect of the internet. The metaverse represents a transformative evolution in how we interact with digital environment. Now, the blockchain is the underlying technology behind the metaverse, right? And this blockchain leads us to the new layer of the internet. a new layer of this. Most of us know the layer 1, layer 2, the regular internet that we interact with daily. We started from the layer 1, which was more or less a static internet. We went to layer 2 where we can interact, blogs and all of that. Now we are transiting to the next internet, the next layer of the internet, which is the Web3. And the Web3, which is powered by the internet, is diverse, is wide. I actually wanted to discuss marketing in the Web3, but I got information that most of the people that we have here, who are going to be on this program are business people who want, hands-on things they can actually, implement instantly in their businesses. And I thought, okay, a lot of things the metaverse might look futuristic, right? And some people might feel like, oh, how can we begin? This is something too technical. This is something we cannot do now. How can our business go? There are so many opportunities. You can actually use the metaverse now to profit your business, to create ease in your business, to create, to reduce costs, in your businesses, and a whole lot, reach more customers, reach more, business opportunities using the. Is my screen still visible?
Yes, it is.
And I'm still very audible.
Yes, you're audible.
All right, thank you, because I've just been talking. All right, so the blockchain provides a which is a decentralized, secure just a minute. So the metaverse, there are a lot of business opportunities in the metaverse, and I'm just going to discuss a few of them today. They are wide, they are broad, but I'm just going to outline a few that can actually people can transit to or can begin to implement bit by bit in their businesses. Some years back, Facebook must have looked like something impossible, but when it came in, everybody took advantage, and today it's so big. Now, the Web3 itself gives us a very unique opportunity to grow, to manage our data, to manage our resources. I call it the web of value. The Web3, it's a web of value, because the value you create, you get equal pay or equal value for the value that you create in Web3, right? And if you can use the metaverse within the Web3, you could create a lot of value and get a lot of values in return, right? The next generation of internet, which enhances the ecosystem by offering a decentralized layer where users have more control over their data. In the Web3, you control your data. That's what you share. The value that you want from what you're sharing and how you share it. You also determine how those data that you share, are being used. That's one of the advantages of the Web3. And so as a business owner, if you go to, say, for instance, the Web2, say in Facebook, Twitter, and all those other places, even though most of the Web3s, they converge on Twitter, but big corporations handle and manage your data. They determine how you use them. They determine the kind of customers you meet, you reach out to. Sometimes they say it is targeting, you can target and all of that, but they still manage this data. They control the data, and in most cases, you get nothing in return. But in Web3, you are able to get value for the data that you provide and that you share, right? And you can equally determine the data that you share and the value that you get from the data that you share. All right, so that's just a little introduction. And the metaverse, as I said earlier, if any business at this point decide to venture, into the metaverse, you are very early. And I tell you, there are so many opportunities out there within the metaverse that you can take advantage of. I'm just going to spoke about real estate, and he said so many things about real estate. that's in the physical world. I tell you, in the web, on the blockchain, in the metaverse itself, there is actually real estate there, right? And you can get the same amount of value, in short, even more value, in form of NFTs and in form of other. So those are some of the things I'm going to look at today. And I just hope that if you're a business owner here, if you are a job seeker, you are whatever you do, there's something for you out there. So you start looking technology-wise, and I just hope that. All right, so the first thing I'm going to talk about, the first opportunity here is virtual real estate. I said it earlier. The concept of owning a virtual real estate, seems very futuristic for a lot of people. The last speaker, I believe, because of his experience in the physical real estate, the value of real estate, but may not really see its place probably online or how it operates. But I tell you, the same value or even more value that you get in real estate in the physical world, you can get in the metaverse, right? So as a real estate person, maybe you operate a real estate business, you operate a real estate company. There are so many companies out there, many companies, many businesses out there that owns parcels of land. They own parcels of land, communities, all kinds of land, and are selling on the metaverse. The player one I just talked about earlier, metrics and all, they were all in virtual places. These are land. Some people own a particular part of the land. Some had in metrics, they had they made a wall around that place, and they want whoever, I can't remember those characters anymore, to penetrate. And that is the land. You can own your own land in the real estate. Businesses can purchase virtual land or properties in popular real estate world. There's Decentraland, for instance, owns so many real estate properties, in the virtual world. And these properties, they are in form of NFTs. You can buy them. Currently, there was this blockchain that just launched not long ago, and they are selling properties. You can buy properties in Dubai, buy properties in places in Nigeria, or within the confine of your environment, or within the confine of the environment or the area your business operates. You wouldn't be able to have access, to own those properties. But I've been able to own properties in Dubai, in China, in the US, in form of NFTs. Do you understand? These are virtual properties. So as a business or a business person, it is possible for you to consider, virtual property or virtual real estate as a niche that you can actually look into, right? It might look futuristic now, but I just gave you an example that in form of NFTs, you can own these properties. You own them and nobody. That's why the underlying technology here, blockchain, comes into play. It makes it secure. It gives you the ownership, the true ownership of that property. And I tell you, some might ask, how can I carry my land now? If somebody go to steal the land there in what is it called? Does it have a physical? Yes. Some of these properties have physical representative there. You can own what's it called? Probably a rental apartment, there in anywhere in the world, through the metaverse. So I'm just going to be very brief in all of this. They are deeper than, just these simple explanations. So the opportunities are there. The way the physical land appreciates, like the last speaker spoke about Guzapi, is it Guzapi? Some of those places in Abuja. I remember while I was in Abuja, before I moved to Lagos, land were so expensive in Asokoro. Then I remember when people say they own properties in Asokoro, we're like, wow. Now, if you own a little property in Decentraland, you can actually use it for a lot of things. One of the advantages there in real estate, there in the metaverse, is that you can actually use it to borrow the same way you use it online. You can use it you can actually stake them. Staking means like what's it called? Is it property bank? There was a word he used, the same thing, you know, on the metaverse. I'm just going to be very brief in each of it, because I think we have e-commerce, virtual goods and services can actually be sold on the metaverse. The Zoom we are using today have backgrounds, right? If I don't have a good background, there are backgrounds within the avatars. People design those things and sell them. If you're a business person here, or we have graphic designers, we have the youths of Africa are doing a lot of things. In short, this slide was done by my younger brother. He lives with me because my staffs are not available. He lives with me. I didn't even know he could do anything like this. I had a different slide entirely. I had a different thing to talk about. I was actually going to discuss Web3 marketing, you know, and I had a conversation with OBK. He said, no, our people are, you know, these are the kind of people that are school learners and all of that. This is the kind of thing that will fit them. Can you make it, you know, metaverse-wise so that they can actually, something they can, extra, they can actually put into practice immediately that their business can take advantage. That's all right. And I just started, you know, doing a few things. And I told him, I said, who will do slides for me? Who can do this thing? And the boy said, I can't do it. I had no idea. So the youth in Africa are doing a lot of things. And people are saying we don't have jobs and all of that. From Nigeria here, you can design for anywhere in the world, right? You can work from anywhere in the world. So virtual e-commerce, Nike, for instance, have these NFT collections. They bought an NFT platform in the NFT collections where they sell shoes. But Pfizer, they launch NFT collections. These are all in the metaverse. They operate there. These things have functions within that space, right? The avatars we use on Zoom, the avatars we use on most of these virtual platforms, they are all NFTs. They are items that have value that can be used, okay? And so the metaverse offers unique opportunities for branding and marketing businesses. Oh, this is a little mix up here. This is not for this slide, right? So what was I saying? E-commerce, yeah. So there are a lot of goods, there are a lot of services that can be sold. The player one, I said earlier, there are exchanges. People buy lives, they buy clothes, your clothes get worn out. And these people that design these things within that space and sell within that space as NFT. It's people that design them and sell. If you are listening, if you are hearing me clearly, you're full enough, can you please drop an emoji in the group? Can you please drop an emoji in the chat box? I don't want to be talking to myself.
We can hear you clearly, but I think we've got like 7 minutes.
7? Really?
Yes.
How many minutes have I been here?
You're supposed to be coming off now, so we've added time.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right, so you can build online stores. You can do, you know, and oh wow, this is, I think Subka will need to give me another time. So this is opportunities for branding. So I heard your introduction yesterday, DK. I think you are into branding, you're into marketing, brand exposure, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, you're correct. You're correct.
Thank you. So you have a space in the metaverse. You can build billboards. You can build billboards in the metaverse. The same way you do it here. You can actually expose brands. People operate within the metaverse. People have billboards. People have advertising spaces. The Meta that was built by Facebook, one of their biggest sponsors has a space there. Just yesterday, I was seeing a video. It's empty, actually, but that space is made for. It's one of the biggest advertising agencies in the world. They bought this space within the metaverse. So billboards can be placed there. A lot of things can be done in there. And it gives you advantage because one of the things about the metaverse is that unlike the physical world, it gives you the opportunity to try different things. You know, you try different things, you look at it, is this working? This one, how will this look and all of that? These things can be replicated there in the physical world. Okay. So I would I probably will share the slide with Subcard, Seka. They can share it to people who want it, or probably reach me for. Then we have virtual events and conferences. What we have here is virtual. This is an extension. Zoom itself is a metaverse. We are doing we are working virtually. Now, people actually create research on this. You will see that people actually create virtual event centers where you can host all kinds of events, you know, in the metaverse. And businesses here should begin to look in this direction. These are things, that can actually be done and very profitable. Remote work, people from Nigeria can work anywhere in the world within the metaverse. Now, there's an advertisement that I used to see of MTN. Yeah, the young man traveled, travel is actually out of the country, I think in the UK. Yeah, he had a special gift for her. Using VR and AR, you could see that within that environment, he had an opportunity to share with his loved ones. I even gave her a gift. I don't know if any of us have seen that advertisement. That is how the metaverse operates, okay? So aside from just collaborating, working remotely, there are environments where people can actually share love, share churches, even all kinds of things can be done within the metaverse. As a business, there are, you should look at ways that you can actually bring this to life for a lot of businesses, a lot of people out there. And these services, I tell you, they are new now. They are futuristic. They look very futuristic, but I tell you, in the nearest future are going to be something, we are going to live practically in the metaverse, right? Entertainment and gaming, this is already something that is so, it's so common already. People play from within your cell phone, you can play game with anyone in the world. And the funny thing is that, as I said, right? To earn money, to earn a living. I defined Web3 earlier on as a web of value. The value you render there. Playing game is value because you're testing out a lot of things, people's design, how they work and all that. People test products, in the metaverse. I just wanted to look at it as a space that gives you the freedom, to actually do a lot without limitations, okay? Without limitations. And within the game, if games are designed, you can do advertisements, so much more can be done within them. How many minutes more do I have, please? Education. I heard some of the people here are school preparators, school owners, and educators. I basically live and operate online. Even my physical business, Nanboli Global Resources, is basically, I basically operate online, okay? We've had customers from, in the whole of Sub-Saharan Africa, there's hardly no country we've not reached. But how do we reach them? Everything is basically online. And I tell you, it looks like it's just a WhatsApp, WhatsApp kind of communication or Zoom meeting and all of that. That is like the transition I'm talking about here, transiting from Web2 to Web3. And if you look at the futuristic aspect of this, where are we headed to in the next, before COVID, Zoom was there, but it wasn't a thing, right? But after COVID, what happens? Now, what comes next? And where do you think we'll be operating there? So as an educator, currently there are virtual classrooms everywhere in the world. There's a lady I was speaking to yesterday in my community. It was just so interesting. We were just having a conversation. And I asked her, so what do? You've not been working for some time now. And she said she's a virtual classroom teacher. And I'm like, wow. How come I was just looking at something like this? And he said, I'm a virtual classroom teacher. What do you do? How do you do this? She said, I prepare my notes, and this morning she was supposed to be on this program, but she has a class by 11 also with a student in the US. She's in Nigeria. She's not saying there's no work anywhere. How does she do that? Via Zoom. Now, with the aid of VR and AR, she can actually create an environment where she and that student can actually sit and learn. Now, if you look at, there are some schools in the UK, in the US, and in most of these developed countries. I heard some are even coming down to us. There are some operating here in Nigeria, where students actually learn using VR and AR. Okay, that environment, you see the picture of the heart, the picture of the what's it called, the respiratory system, and most of this dangerous scientific research, most of these things that people might not be able to replicate, might not be able to do it physically, some of which are even some of this research might be dangerous, right? The metaverse gives an environment for teachers, schools, to expose these students to, to the learning of these things without actually facing the dangers, that accompanies these things. And we know that virtual things we learn, 90% of the things the human brain absorbs are physical. They have to see. It's not by writing. It has to be visual, right? So what the metaverse does for most of these virtual classrooms is to create an environment where these people can actually have to see it, visualize these things, the way it works, see how blood flows through organs and all of that. So as a school, one of the things it does is that it reduces costs for you. If you look at it critically, it reduces a lot of costs. You may not have the finances, the money, the resources to bring those equipment, for these laboratory tests and all of that. I've seen schools in the metaverse where people learn keyboard. I've seen where they learn, keyboard, how to play keyboard, how to play instruments without actually having instruments in their house. You can actually buy these instruments in the metaverse, have them in a corner because you may not have space. Learn how to play them. So schools can actually use the metaverse, their VR and AR, augmented reality, to teach their students so many things that they cannot do in the physical world. If you're a school owner here, I think you should start looking at how to, bring the metaverse into your school and your school system.
Sorry to interrupt. Got 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
Healthcare and wellness, gym instructors. You might be a gym instructor, no space within yours. You may not have space. The metaverse gives you an opportunity to train even Bill Gates from the comfort of your home. Virtual technology, it gives you, in short, what I'm just in essence, because let me just round up, is that with the metaverse, you have limitless space and opportunity to express your creativity, to express, to carry out your trade, whatever you do and whatever you can do, right? So I'm just going to probably just hold it here and hand over to you, DK. I don't want to take more of it.
You still have time, so you can continue. You still have
So I
time.
can continue. All right.
Yes.
So if you look at it,
Okay, because if you still have some, so you can conclude properly, just
All
do
right.
that.
Okay. So I was talking about the healthcare. There are some operations, some procedures that have been done in the metaverse without the doctors not physically being there. It has happened, it's happening. So irrespective of how you see it, how futuristic this look, they're already happening. Okay. There are some people go for medical checkups within the metaverse. This, I'm sorry, I would have had some videos. I wanted to have some videos on here and some images, to depict all of this, but it was a very short period of time, so we couldn't get all those things together. But probably when we have the opportunity, we can actually make it movies, because when I said metaverse, I know many of us here, have technical knowledge or background to an extent, but it still sound very unreal, to a lot of, that's English, because I've met a lot of people. I've had some clients who are still like, I don't understand what they're saying. All this is they're saying. I'm like, look, these are real things. Okay, these are environments. You can actually design your environment the way you want them and all of that. So we have virtual tourism and experiences. One of there's a brand in the UK. If you go to that cafe, what they do is that they give you a VR set, to put on. And I'm just going to use an example. They give you a VR set to put on. And when you put on, you begin to see, to take you to places where how beer is made and, how all of these things are brewed. By the time you get to the end of it, you just see the beer in your front. It's like you have been through the journey of how this beer was made, and eventually the beer arrives in your front. It's wonderful. The experience it's awesome. Now, there are places around the world that people want to visit, people want to go to, they can't visit those places. Businesses can actually create an opportunity for people to visit those places without actually leaving their home. Maybe not their home, without actually leaving their homes, right? Without actually leaving their environment. I think there is one in Lagos here. There is a metaverse kind of business around Lagos where you can actually go and visualize a lot of, scenery and, a lot of places around the world using VR. So with through the metaverse, you can actually build, a tourism business without and help people to. And then finally, my most special part, the blockchain. You see that the cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency itself is it's the currency that is used within the metaverse. That is how you collect your money. That's how you do all the trade, all the exchanges of value. It has to be turned into money and all of that. So it comes the cryptocurrency, and it's the currency of the metaverse. And projects, you can build a project, you can build a project, that offers crypto in Africa here, in Nigeria here, and use it as in-house currency for the transactions within your businesses and all of that. So that's finally, I would advise, just an advice, that as a business person, a job seeker, a young graduate, whatever you are, there's ample opportunity for you within the metaverse. Start looking futuristic, thinking futuristic. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. As in, this was a conversation that I felt everybody needed to listen to. And I was going to say, where can you find you? See, you're already thinking ahead of me. So please take a screenshot of this page, because we have exactly where to find Nanball Godfrey. Thank you so much for this opportunity to learn from you. I've learned that cryptocurrency is just the currency used on the metaverse. I think that's the easiest explanation I've ever gotten about what crypto is, because it's confusing and overwhelming.
The digital currency, so it's the only currency within the metaverse.
Oh,
you can't trade, you can't exchange in the metaverse without the cryptocurrency. Whether it is NFT, whether it is their own cryptocurrencies. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. And please, everyone, reach out, connect. When anyone finishes the presentation, just go into their DM and say, thank you for your presentation. It really does help to encourage members of OSP. So on behalf of OSP, I want to say thank you so much, Nanball, for your time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Awesome. Right. So I'm going to have a fireside chat for 2-3 minutes with somebody before SECA Africa team comes on board. And that person is someone from SECA. So I'm just going to spotlight both of us so that we can get to see. Am I studio? Yes, I am. All right. Fantastic. So with me today, I have another person that everybody that is part of OSP knows. If you're on OSP and you have gotten a message from him, as soon as I put the person on the screen, just give us emojis. Obike, welcome. Thank you
very
for
much,
agreeing to have this fireside chat with me, even if it's going to be a brief one.
Yes. Thank you very much. I believe you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
And
let me know if
too.
you can hear Obike, and thumbs up to him for coming on stage with us. Yes, welcome. OSP May webinar. How has it been so far for you?
Wow. It has been a buffet of knowledge. I know that we have touched on a lot of things yesterday and this morning. I was thinking through what Mr. Nanball was speaking on, his conversation and perspective on the metaverse. And you get to see that it's quite broad and big and has a lot of potentials and opportunities. So the May edition of the Pan-African had been like a buffet where you get to take a little of this and you take a little of that, and you put them together and you be like, wow, I think I need to have some more, maybe a special class or have another session. But it has just been a wonderful session of the speakers and their perspectives. Thank you.
All right, awesome. And funny enough, today talked about real estate, both digitally, the metaverse, and physical real estate. You guys are geniuses for pulling this together. Yeah, I think that was amazing. What was the need to make us understand the importance of having both?
Yes, and the interesting thing is that metaverse mirrors the real world. If you
Okay.
get that, you begin to appreciate the metaverse. Whatever happens in the real world can be replicated on the metaverse. So
Okay.
if I can shop in the real world, I can
Yes.
shop on the metaverse. If I can learn in the real world, I can learn in the metaverse. If I can sing in the real world, I can sing in the metaverse. So do not see the metaverse as something that is at the far flung, something that's going to come in the by and by. No, it is something that is already here, and you have to deal with it the way you deal with your real world. So if I need to visit the museum, I have two options. I can take a cab, walk into the museum, or stay at home, use my Google HoloLens, and still visit the museum. So you see, whatever I can do in real life, I can still do it on the metaverse. If I want to shop for a new clothes, I can take a walk down to the store and try it on myself in real life. Or I can use my digital device with the metaverse application, check out maybe the suit or the headgear or the wristwatch and see how it fits on me. So you see that I can still do that right in the comfort of my home. So these are just the interplay between the real world and the metaverse. Same goes with real estate.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much for helping us do this catch up. And I think we have Stella next. So we'll talk to Stella briefly for 8 minutes. While you're still here, I can put both of you on the hot seat. Stella, are you with us and are you ready? And after that, please get ready for the next speaker. Who's our next speaker, LBK?
Yes, our next speaker is a very phenomenal person, Coach Nafisa Muhammad Buba. Her profile is quite intimidating. She's versatile, she's vast in experience, she's deep in knowledge. I can't really, I'm looking for the right word to actually qualify her, but I'm going to let her do that her own way. I just tell us who she is, although DK will do justice by helping us maybe give a summary of her profile. I'm going to be handing over to DK. Possibly our guest will be coming up shortly.
Sure.
And then we'll have about Seka just immediately after our guest.
Okay.
I can hand over to you now, DK. Thank you so much for this short conversation.
Thank you so much for
I
this
believe
short
we're all having a great time. Thank you.
Yes, I have, and everyone else is. Thank you so much, OBK, for joining me today. Okay, so we have Madam Nafisa next, but I think we're supposed to have a chat with Stella. OBK just informed me that that's going to be kind of reshuffled. So please, Nafisa, could you switch on your camera so I can see if you are in the house and if you are able to switch on your camera? While we're waiting. Oh, yes, I
Hello.
can see that your camera
Yes,
is
I am.
on. Hey,
Hi, how are you?
welcome. I'm great. So nice
Thank
to
you.
finally meet you.
Brilliant to see you too.
I'm adding you to the screen.
All
Oh,
right.
you're in the metaverse. You just came and showed us that you are in
Yes,
the metaverse.
absolutely. So when I heard you guys speaking about metaverse, I was like, okay. Yeah.
You're just amazing, and I think it shows your diversity and your in-depth knowledge in different things. So I'm just going to read your profile a little bit. We'll have a quick chat and then you will get started. So, Nafisa Mohammed Buba has an in-depth operational, managerial, and governance level experience in one of my favorite topics, people management. That is a very, very tough one across diverse industries. That over 2 decades of professional experience, you span different sectors, financial services, communication, and development sectors. She is a trained human resource management professional with excellent leadership, communication, and organizational skills. Our areas of expertise exceed beyond human capital management to encompass areas such as authentic, self-oriented leadership. I love that term, authentic, self-oriented leadership, and I'm curious to hear what you say that is. Relationship management, service delivery, customer service, administration, compliance, corporate governance, coaching, and mentoring. Whether it's coaching teams, facilitating training sessions, or providing strategic guidance, Nafisa is committed to equipping individuals and organizations with the skills, knowledge, and resources that they need to succeed in today's dynamic business world. And this is important. You have a wonderful dedication and loyalty to relationships and passion for stewardship. And you have a way of leading and nurturing others, and learning makes you a valuable addition to any group you are in, any community you are in. Nafisa is a trainer, a counselor, facilitator, mentor, professional public speaker, a humanitarian, a certified life coach. She loves to travel. Where do you even have time to travel? When I saw she loves to travel, I said I have to read this part 2 times. Do you know this? She loves traveling. You love the theater, movies, swimming, horse riding. Hey, I'm playing squash. She's married with children. Where do you have the time? But before I ask you where you find the time to do all the extra things, welcome on board, Nafisa Mohammed.
Thank you so much, Coach DK. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Welcome. You're welcome. So before I leave you, self-oriented leadership. What's that?
Service oriented.
Service-oriented.
Authentic, because I believe leadership is not effective if it's not natural. It has to be something that is real. It has to be something that is unique to you. This is the way you lead. This is the way you carry yourself, and it will show in almost every aspect of your life. But service-oriented, in as much as it's authentic, it has to be service-oriented, because if it's not there for others, if you are not serving others, if you are not supporting and growing others, then you are not a leader. So yes, that's why I say self-service.
All right. And what's your topic for today?
Okay, so I think last week or so, or a couple of weeks, I spoke on navigating challenging organizations through resilience, leading through that. So today I want to speak specifically on behaviors that sort of lead to situations that bring about toxic environments or challenging environments, and then what it is that people can do to help better such organizations.
Okay, fantastic. I love the topic. So you have 45 minutes. I always say 40 minutes and 5 minutes for questions, and I will leave the floor to you. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let me try and, so it says the host has disabled the screen sharing. I'm not able to share. Hello?
Just a minute, man. You will be able to share.
Okay.
All right, let's try again, please.
Yes, I think I'm there now.
Awesome.
Right.
The floor is yours.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Okay, so as I said earlier on, the focus today will be on finding ways to address toxic environments or poor leadership, as it were. And so as a title, what I have for the presentation is Leadership Behaviors and Employee Resilience, Driving Positive Change from All Levels. My name is Nafisa. I think I can skip this page. We've had a chat on that. So very quickly, I know we're sort of running late. We're going to have a quick discussion on the introduction of the topic, an understanding of what leadership behaviors that lead to resilient or require resilience, basically lead to toxic organizations. The impact of negative leadership behaviors, a self-identification of problematic leadership behaviors, what sort of steps leaders can take to help change toxic leadership behaviors, and what steps organizations can do with that regards as well. And then what the other employees can do. How can you lead upwards so that you basically get a chance to take some control, as it were, if possible. Now, as we spoke the last time, it is possible to walk away. And sometimes you've tried whatever you need to do, you do need to walk away. But when you do walk away, do you have a responsibility to those behind you? And if you do, then how do you support those that you left behind? And then we conclude. So by way of introduction, the objectives are simply that we want to identify leadership behaviors that result in certain challenging, or that basically create challenging work environments. We want to explore the various strategies that leaders can take to recognize and change these behaviors within themselves. And then we will discuss how employees at various levels are able to lead upwards and support the leadership change. So toxic behaviors. One of the most obvious one is that of micromanagement. When you have a need to excessively control employees and everything they do in terms of work and decision, you end up creating a very toxic environment. Lack of empathy is another one. We are humans, life would happen. So our inability to identify when life happens and be considerate in dealing with personal and professional challenges that our colleagues have would also lead to a toxic environment. Poor communication is another big one. When we are not clear or we are ineffective, what happens is the individual misunderstands and as such works or responds basis on that misunderstanding. And then, you get a back and forth because that wasn't what you were trying to say. So at the end of the day, you end up with a toxic environment. Inconsistency in decision making. In the morning, you've decided it's A, by the afternoon, it's B, by the next day, you're back to A again. So when we are erratic and unpredictable as leaders, then our decisions create a lot of uncertainty, and that leads to a toxic environment. Failure to recognize and reward successes or achievements. When we neglect to recognize and reward the achievements of employees, you end up with that situation. And sadly, what I see quite a lot in this part of the country, simply abuse. There's just no other way around it. Deliberately taking punitive actions because somebody chose to do something differently from what you asked them to do. Verbally abusing. I've come across leaders that will shout and use some words that you wouldn't ordinarily expect that one would use even on a human being, just on an animal, not to talk of a human being or your own employee, and then using words that attack the emotions and psyche of individuals. This I see quite a lot of, sadly, in this part of the world. So we now know what it is that an individual can do, or rather, what sort of actions that the leaders can take to lead to toxic environments. But how does this impact? Why is that important? How does it impact the employees or the organizations? So it does in both situations. On the employees, there's a huge increase in stress and burnout. So you have people Literally, so for example, you wake up in the morning and your thought is, oh my God, I'm gonna have to go back in there. You know, so there's just a lot of stress and burnout. There's decreased motivation. You're just not satisfied with the job. It's almost like you're moving like a robot, you know, without any satisfaction, without any joy. It leads to physical and mental health challenges. A lot of people fall ill, whether physically or mentally, as a result of really toxic environments. And it just high turnover rates. So you almost, as soon as you're getting people in, those that are in are finding their way out. Ultimately, for those that stay behind, you'll find that a number become rebellious, because there's only so much that you can do to a human being and for them not to start fighting back. So you push a person enough into a corner, they would fight back. Now, they may not be able to face you physically and be aggressive to that, but so what you then have is misbehavior and complete regards to whatever rules and policies there are, deliberately abusing or deliberately not complying with these rules and regulations, simply because they're trying to get back and express their dissatisfaction. On the organization, of course, if people are not engaged and satisfied, there's a reduction in productivity and efficiency. There is an increase in managing and retaining the employees simply because they become rebellious and there's a lot of indiscipline. And it does a huge damage to the reputation of the organization because it's a toxic workplace. Even when you go out there trying to get the right kind of talent to bring back, it becomes almost impossible because, you know, your reputation has gone ahead of you and people know what your workplace is like. So you find that managers find it very difficult to bring in and even retain, if should they be miraculously be able to do so, retain good talent. Ultimately, it will lead to a collapse of law and order within that organization. So how do we as leaders identify what sort of leaders we are, and then identify maybe what sort of characteristics we have that may be leading or resulting, in the sort of toxic environment we find ourselves in? The first thing is really just to ask for one to be humble enough, for one to be confident in themselves enough to regularly seek feedback from the employees and their peers where necessary. You know, ask and get that feedback. But then knowing that you also have, and I mean, one thing for me, I always say is if you're surrounded by people that only ever have positive things to say, then you know you've got a wrong group. You know, so to go out of your way to also find those that are either non-subordinates or simply just not even your employees to try and give you feedback on how you interact with others. For you as an individual to regularly reflect on the impact of your decisions and the impact of your interactions and guidance with each team. It's very obvious. You know, you can see a pattern. So to be very deliberate in keeping an eye on that and then taking the necessary steps to take changes. And when you notice, really to be, again, confident enough to ask why the person may be responding like that, and then try and see how you can figure a way out. And to assess your actions and see that they are aligned with the values of the organizations. If your actions are not absolutely on spot in terms of what the organizational values and goals are, you will always have a break in communication. And so you will always have a situation where what you're trying to pass on is simply not being absorbed or being taken up by your subordinates. And so, you know, you end up with a toxic space. Now, as organizations, one thing to do is to also have a very structured feedback mechanism. You can implement anonymous feedback systems. The more anonymous the system is, the more likely you're going to get an honest and sincere response from those giving you the feedback. Of course, knowing that, again, because we're human, you don't work on just the one exception, but to make sure that you take a holistic response and make sure that you get as varied a number of individuals as possible to give you feedback on various systems and various leaders. To conduct regular one-on-one meetings for the individual in particular, but for the organization to mandate that, so that leaders are regularly having one-on-one discussions with their team, and it allows for room to give a two-way feedback. The leader is able to express himself in terms of what is required or expected of the employee, and vice versa. To use the 360-degree tool, at least once in a while, just so that you can get a very comprehensive view as an organization of what leadership is like, or as an individual of how your team members or the general organization, the employees perceive you. And as an individual, again, to deliberately, as I said earlier on, be very observant of what impact you're having on employees. Now, how do you go about resolving? So you've done the check and you've identified that there are issues. How do you go about resolving as an individual your behaviors? The first is that you will need to ensure that you develop, and you have to, the truth is we have to make sure that we take responsibility for that. You will need to develop emotional intelligence. You will have to learn to practice empathy. You will have to learn to practice active listening, because that's the only way you will actually understand what is going on with your subordinates. And you will need to deliberately work on improving your self-awareness and self-regulation. A lot of the times, I gave an example on verbal abuse earlier on. We tend to get carried away. So our inability to self-regulate and our inability to check ourselves when we are upset or when we are in frustrated or in disagreement leads to very horrible reactions that end up creating an environment that at the end of the day comes back to bite, because we're just not able to govern or to lead in such an environment. A leader will need to enhance their communication skills, and that will ensure that the right information is passed on effectively and efficiently. So one will need to, and in doing that, you also need to foster and encourage open and transparent communication. Honestly, I always say that honesty is the key to everything, so if you're honest and clear, noted, sometimes it will have to be that information you share would have to be on a need to know basis, but whenever you do have to share, you ensure that it's done in an honest, open and transparent manner. And you will need to learn to clearly articulate whatever your goals are, whatever the expectations are of this individual, and provide effective feedback, provide feedback that actually helps the employee fully understand if there are gaps, and then how they can go about correcting those gaps. As a leader, you would need to promote positive work culture, and the only way you can do that is if you first recognize and reward when people are in fact achieving, and you do that regularly. And once you do it regularly, it becomes a culture of recognition, and so people are happy to do what they need to do, and they will almost always go out of their way to do what they need to do, because they know that is being. And you encourage that, you encourage collaboration, you encourage support, so that it doesn't just stop at you, but even leaders beneath you repeat that. You will need to be very committed to continuous improvement. Behavioral change does not happen overnight. And so it's something that you will need to key into and ensure that with every opportunity. In fact, you literally make the opportunities yourself. You're constantly working on yourself and professionally developing yourself. You're constantly remaining open to feedback, and you're ready and willing to adapt. And everybody around you, your team members, get to see that. And because they get to see that, you know, it becomes, we're speaking along with DK, it becomes authentic. People get to see that you're actually honestly trying to make an effort, and that actually, they go out of their way to help you via the right feedbacks. And you lead by examples. People tend to emulate what they see. It's not always the case, but you do have a large case of that. So if you have executive leadership that is abusive, as an example, you end up having senior management sometimes emulating that, because that's what happens at the top. And if that's what happens at the top, I will also, I mean, that's what I get when I get there. So when I go back to my own corner, that's what I'm going to dish out. And because that's what I'm dishing out in my own corner, the supervisor that's working beneath me, or the junior manager that's working beneath me, repeats that in their own corner. And before you know it, just the place just becomes chaotic. So what can organizations do? For the organizations to improve such thing, really, they will need to, it has to be from the top. It has to be something that it's a very clear message that this is something that there's zero tolerance to. The board needs to take charge of this. Leadership, senior executive, leadership, senior management, everybody needs to be on board. And then you need to make sure, and the board needs to drive it, to make sure that everybody is actually trained in terms of what it is that's expected of you as an emotionally intelligent leader, and what effective communication is. I always say it would be wonderful if organizations could actually have a structure such that as they promote individuals to senior positions, there are specific actions that are taken. You take an exercise to assess your ability to become a leader, not just basis of your work, but how are you mentally? How are you able to cope mentally? What level of emotional intelligence do you have? How resilient are you? You know, all the soft skills that are required of the kind of leader that they wish to have, and to actually structure that and ensure that that is in place. So you take a year, 2 years, 3 years, and groom this person with the necessary trainings and necessary exposures that would help this person learn how to be the right leader within the organization. And then discipline the feedback mechanism that you've got in place, and ensure that regularly that's implemented, and programs are in place to recognize and reward and achieve high achievers. And that is actually done sort of publicly, so that as people put in their best and as people achieve what they need to achieve, or even surpass whatever the goals are that are given to them, that is publicly known, and it becomes a culture within the organization. And lastly, for organizations to be ready to take that hard decision, whatever efforts that have been put in place, whatever performance improvement plans that have been put in place, at some point in time, when you see that it's not working, you need to be able to take that harsh decision to take that person out of the system, because leaving such a toxic leader actually just ultimately destroys the entire system. As we said, if you have somebody at the high top, it just trickles down. The person beneath them emulate, and before you know it, all the leaders in that particular line, just that particular directorate or whatever, or department, whatever grouping you want to name it, being toxic. How then? So we've spoken about leaders, we've spoken about the organizations, but what can the individuals do if you find yourself in a toxic environment and you are not able to exit, or you don't want to exit? In fact, you want to try and see how you can resolve. What are the things that are available to you to be able to influence change within that organization? First is to build trust and credibility. When you, as an individual, can be relied upon to deliver the right quality of work and to even surpass what is expected of you. When, as an individual, it is known that you will always be available. You can be relied upon to be available and to deliver the work that's the quality of work that's expected. That helps. That helps a lot. So even the craziest of leaders would have to recognize somebody that can be trusted and someone that's reliable. For you also to learn how to clearly and respectfully communicate whatever feedback you've got. Now, when I say respect, I know with all the various generational differences, I'm not talking respect in terms of being subservient, but respect in terms of, in your bid to express your dissatisfaction with what leadership is doing, you need to be careful not to emulate and end up repeating exactly that. So if you find that you have a leader that always shouts and is always rude, for me, I always say it will actually be demeaning for you to sort of respond back in like terms and, you know, answer back shouting and in a rude manner. Sometimes just walking away or keeping quiet if you're not able to walk away because maybe this is your superior, and just letting the person do whatever it is that they need to do and not in any way showing that this has affected you. And then when the person is done with their screaming, for you to calmly and clearly simply express your own perspective or your own viewpoint, you find that that has passed on a very clear message that, you know, you're not going to bring yourself down to that level. So the more you are able to communicate effectively, you will find that in time, the individual would have to, at least at the minimum, is to say, well, this individual needs to be treated that way. And so there will be a reduction, if not a complete elimination. Then for you to seek mentorship, abusive and toxic environments can do quite a lot to individuals emotionally as well as physically. So it helps a lot if you're able to speak with individuals that have sort of toed that path and have succeeded. So when you speak and you seek mentorship and speak with people that have toed that path, you're able to get guidance and support on how to navigate that type of particular challenge. And to focus a lot on your personal development, your soft as well as hard skills. Personally, I found when I find myself in toxic environments and I move away from the reality of where I am mentally and instead focus on developing myself, it does a lot of wonders. Not only am I building myself with tools and skills that I'll be able to use at a later stage, it almost as if it protects me from the madness that's going on around me. So I find like it's almost like it's a cocoon of some sort that I find myself in, just because I have deliberately made the effort to focus my mind on other things rather than the things that I'm not able to change at that particular time. For middle level managers, you will speak up. You need to learn to speak up. You need to be able to present whatever the team's concerns and needs are, again, in a respectful and clear manner to higher management. You need to encourage peer support. When you find yourself in a certain environment, the more collaborative and supportive you are of each other, the easier it is to actually navigate that experience. You need to model the behavior that you expect your superiors to be, even if those superiors are not modeling that behavior. So where you find yourself reporting to a toxic leader, as a middle level manager, you know what is not, what you are not in agreement with. Be that change. Ensure that you are not like that to your own subordinates. Demonstrate the kind of leadership qualities that you wish to see in your superior to your junior ones. And then again, personal development. That just never goes wrong. At every level, it's crucial that one is very deliberate with personal development. Can everybody hear me? I'm focused on the time, but I hear
Yes,
a bit of.
we can hear you. We can hear you.
Perfect.
You're good. Yes.
Perfect. So the senior category of leaders, of course, always lead by example, encourage open dialogue, create opportunities for that across levels. Because you are in a more senior position, you are in a better position to actually effect more change, you know, especially if you're like very senior management or executive management. Speak up and encourage that dialogue, and within that dialogue, then identify opportunities and ways you can actually correct the issues that you find yourself within the organization. Again, model that whatever it is that you do, you support the employees in continuously learning and improving themselves, but you should be seen to be doing so as well. Because again, it's easier to get people to do things when they see. And sometimes you don't even have to say it, but just by virtue of the fact that, you know, you're seen to be able to be successful, to be sane in this mad environment that everybody is in, people would want to go and find out, okay, what is it that you do? And when they identify that, oh yeah, you're focused on self-developing, you're focused on continuously learning and improving yourself, naturally, without you even having to say it, you find that people sort of gravitate towards doing that as well. And ultimately, it trickles and improves the environment as a whole. Now, we did speak some time back to say sometimes, the last 2 weeks when we spoke, I believe it was, to say, yes, it is necessary sometimes for one to walk away. It's not necessarily encouraged to be the first action that one takes, but the reality is there are times when you have done what you need to do and you find that everything you've done is not going to work, and for your mental sanity, as it were, you take the decision to walk away. But remember, if you were the right kind of employee, then you would have developed a relationship with those that are left behind. So you do have a responsibility to help and improve situations, even when you walk away. At the minimum, you have a responsibility to help those that you left behind navigate and continue to sort of survive, if I can use that word, where you left them. How do you do that? You do that first by maintaining a positive impact, so that one, if you stay connected, that helps them. You haven't walked away, you haven't left them, as it were. You maintain a professional relationship, and you can do that through social media very easily these days. And even in one-on-one discussions that you would have, you know, phone calls or maybe meetups, you could either call them regularly once in a while for those that you know are really struggling, or just make it clear that they are allowed to contact you. And when they do, to offer the necessary support and encouragement. Just to offer that listening ear sometimes also goes a long way. You don't necessarily even have to say a word, but being there, them knowing that they have a listening ear at any point in time goes a lot in maintaining a positive, maintaining a positive impact. You can provide mentorship. So as people that are currently going through what you stepped away from, as they're going through that, you are in a position to help them or to help guide them on how you navigated that challenge while you were there. They may not have to take the same path, but at least it will give them an idea of what changes they could do to help make things easier. You basically share your own insights and share the various strategies that you've used so that helps them manage better. To maintain a positive impact, you can also share resources. You don't have to be employed by, within the same organization with a colleague for them to continuously learn from you. So whatever resources you've got, whatever knowledge you've got, whether it's a book or it's an article, it's a website you've come across, it's a video you've come across. There's so much going on right now. You simply push it out to those that you feel need it, and then you then tie that back with being ready to give the support and necessary listening ear when they reach out to you as a result of the sharing. One last thing, and I see sometimes that happening, is that you avoid bad mouthing the organization. For me, I feel the more you constantly bad mouth, especially with other employees, the more you're sort of tying yourself to that space. So you've left, but you've not left. And so mentally, emotionally, physically, you continue to have the nightmares simply because you have not moved your mind away from what's going on. Secondly, when you join in bad mouthing and this person sometimes may not realize it, you are out. You don't have to wake up that Monday morning to go and meet the craze that this person has to meet, but he or she does. And so they're not actually doing themselves a favor by listening to you and, taking on board even worse situations or worse information that they probably didn't know about, to now compound matters for themselves when you're not even going to be there beside them to go through what they're going through with. So for me, I personally just avoid that. And in as much as once in a while I appreciate that there would be a need for someone to do the bad mouth, I would listen. But then I would now find a way to get that person to focus on how they can see things differently, what good things that are available there are that they can focus on, just to take their minds off that. The second way, aside from maintaining a positive impact, is that of encouraging positive change. So you can be an advocate. You can use wherever you are, the new space that you found your place you found for yourself now, to advocate and encourage for change, in the wrongs or the inaccuracies that you notice in your old organization. Of course, being careful not to directly mention or name that organization or individuals. You advocate for generally positive organizational change, whether you're in industry forums. I mean, most of us, when we exit an organization, we are particular professionals. So we do not exit our industry profession. So whatever groups we're in, we remain in those. So within those organizations, we maintain those discussions, and that helps, at least within the people that we work with, it helps the growth and the development of whatever these new values are, or whatever the corrective values you feel should be. And that trickles ultimately to that old organization you've exited. And then to responsibly share your experiences, to responsibly share your solutions. That helps not just the people that you previously worked with, your old organizations, but somebody else that's facing the same sort of reality in another organization also gets to learn from that. So just be an advocate for the right kind of change that you wish to see. In encouraging positive change, you can also facilitate networking. So that could be with the immediate people that you left, the organization that you've left previously, or just a larger group. I spoke earlier on about the professional organizations that one would still be involved with. By continuously networking and continuously encouraging this discussion for change and healing, if I can use that word. I use the word healing quite a lot of times for such situations. You find that it trickles, not just to the people you've left behind, but also to the wider industry. And then to lead by example. You've left one space, one organization, you've moved to another space. Demonstrate the kind of leadership that you feel you did not get in that space. Be the professional that you feel needs to be when you're placed in a position of leadership. Ensure that in your new role, everything you're showing, or every engagement, every action of yours is geared towards the change that you want say. And then use that new position to promote the very values and behaviors that you feel are essential towards maintaining a healthy work environment. Thirdly, you need to keep a positive tone. A positive tone would mean you are not focused on constantly, we spoke about not about mouthing earlier on, so you're not focused on constantly talking about the problems or the challenges or the negativity, but instead focusing on finding solutions. What worked for you when you were going there? How did you go about navigating that and maintaining your sanity? You know, do that without necessarily criticizing the previous organization.
You've got
And
5 more minutes, so 4 more minutes, rather.
yeah, I'm rounding up soon. And then encourage that forward-thinking mindset each time you go in that space. Highlight learning experiences when you have these discussions. So focusing on what worked, what lessons you've learned, how to go about improving from such experiences. And that goes a lot to help you maintain a positive tone, but also provide the guidance for those that are still navigating that space. So in conclusion, it is to say that it's crucial for us to identify and address negative leadership behaviors in every space that we find ourselves in. There are specific steps that leaders need to take or can and they need to take to improve and create positive work environments. And there are also strategies that each of us, employees at whatever level we find ourselves, are able to leverage so that we can lead up towards and help leadership with transformation so that we all end up with the right work space. Keyword or last key takeaway that I would like to say is for us to understand that fostering a healthy workplace culture is a collective responsibility. It involves everybody, the leaders, the employees, middle-level management, whoever it is. And this is only successful through continuous self-improvement, open, honest, and sometimes very hard conversations. If we are not ready to do that, we will not effect the change we need. But once we make a commitment to do that and actually commit and go through to doing whatever the changes that are needed to go through doing that, then you end up with a healthy workplace. Thanks very much for the opportunity. If there are any questions, I am quite happy to take that.
Thank you so much for this session. I thoroughly enjoyed it. As someone that is leading remotely, it was kind of amazing for me because I fell into leadership. I did not want it, but it wanted me. So yeah. That's what I say. And I had to become a team lead without much preparation. So this are the type of conversations that we should have done to help people like me. So thank you. 2 things stood out to me when you are talking about personal development. You kept saying it, and it's something I always say. Do not outsource your personal development to somebody else completely. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Remember we spoke about authenticity earlier on, DK?
Yes.
You can't know me as I am. You know, you can't know what my innermost thoughts and feelings are. And so there is no way I can hand over my professional and personal development to you. Exactly. Only you can know that. So you have to be in charge of your development. Absolutely. I agree.
That. Thank you so much. I'm going to learn to tell people to focus on navigating solutions. Like
Absolutely.
I said, focus on navigating solutions. And how can people reach you? Do you have an Instagram page? Do you have anything? Will you share it in the comments?
Yeah, sure, I can do that. I have an email. I think I put an email group.
Sure.
All right, the slides. I could provide the slides, but I will do so.
Thank you.
So I think that'll be easy. I'll provide the slides and then all my information would be on that.
All right, this was such an enriching conversation. Once again, on behalf of the OSP family, I want to say thank you. And we asked if anyone had questions to put in the chat. I don't know if anyone has any question because we have less than a minute to continue with it. While we're waiting for questions, OBK, please get ready. So as I hand over the baton to you, because it's time for me to hand over. But there are no questions. Probably people will reach out.
I don't think I see any. That's
Yes,
fine.
thank
So I'll
you
put
so
my
much for
number up.
providing your number.
I'll provide the
Thank you
slides as
so
well.
much for
Yes.
providing your number.
All right.
And while OBK is getting ready, I have one question. What
Okay.
do you do as a leader when you can see that you're a leader that is passionate and you always look for the best in people, but you see that they are taking advantage of it? They are not delivering because you're like, I see the potential, but then it's ruining business. Do you let go? Because I have a situation with someone currently and he's asking me, should he let go of this person? And the person has reached out to me separately and said, I am struggling. I need help. So I'm caught in between helping the person and helping the business.
Yeah.
What do we do
So,
in this situation?
first things first, I'm not an advocate for walking away immediately. So exiting is not, you always try to find a solution. So there needs to be steps. Is this person placed correctly? Is the role that we've given this person actually the right role? Does the person have the skills to be able to deliver? If this person does not, then you are not going to get what
The
you need.
person has thrived in this role in the past.
So good. So that will go to my second point. So if this person was doing well before and has now stopped, what changed? It is possible this person is going through some family issues,
Yes,
some
he
personal
is.
issues.
He has opened
You
up
need
that
to
I
go
am going through some family things, but now he wants to approach his boss because
They need
what
to talk.
is
So they need to
send their
talk.
social media managers to me to
Yeah.
manage, and he has been falling short. He hasn't been showing up for the working sessions because it's virtual, and he has opened up to me. But the boss has also come to me and said, "This is not working out."
But do you see what's happening? They're talking to you, but they're not talking to each other. So you need to get them in the same room. You need to get them into the same room.
They want me in
They
the
need to
middle
talk
while
to
they're
each
having
other.
that conversation.
That's fine. Yes. They need to talk to each other and identify if there is a way, because once the boss learns what the issues are, and because this person has delivered in the past, it is very possible to make changes. So identify if there are changes that need to be made and try those. If that doesn't work, then you might need to part ways, or to give this person a different role. So that's just what I'll say. Make the effort, have the chat, try to make a change. If it's not feasible, only then do you then decide to let them.
I like that. Thank you so much for your time. And everyone that has questions, please reach out. Don't suffer in silence.
No, speak up.
Entrepreneurs, we are struggling. Founders are struggling. Don't struggle in silence. Some of us did not plan to be managers.
Absolutely. A lot of the time, yes. A lot of the time, that's what happens. I agree. So you find yourself in a place you do not plan for it. True.
I've always said I will never be an entrepreneur. 2016, I just saw myself leading people, and then I'm like, what is happening? What is happening?
How did that happen?
But it's fun. It's fun. But thank you so much. So OBK, you are up next. Thank
you, everyone.
You're welcome. Nice to speak to you. OBK, are you ready?
Yes, I am ready. And I believe you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you. I was waiting for you to give us a bat signal and say, okay, we're ready. So, quick one. How was this session?
I think it was very introspective.
Yes.
Because it kind of helped me to look back at my various roles and ask myself, where do I fit in? What is that one thing I'm doing well that I need to keep doing? What is that thing I'm not doing very well that I need to improve on? What is that thing I'm not doing at all that I need to start doing? So those 3 levels of conversation is something I need to have with myself, which is very introspective, and so that when we keep doing it, find out that the working environment becomes quite easier. I used to tell myself, it is not everything that is being said in the workplace that is worth replying to.
Interesting.
Yes, you need to have that ability to sieve words and look out for words that requires your urgent reaction and words that doesn't require urgent reaction. So I simply ask myself, is it urgent? Is it an emergency? Is it necessary? Is it needed right now? It may be urgent, but it's not an emergency. It may be an emergency, but it can be delegated. Someone can handle that. So because it helps me to know, okay, it helps you to prioritize tasks, it helps you to prioritize activities, and then you know what to deliver and what not to deliver. So there will always be a situation where you have so much that is expected from you. It is your ability to sieve and prioritize and say, this is urgent, but it's not an emergency. It's not life-threatening. This is life-threatening. It is an urgent, but somebody can handle that. So looking at several things can help us. And I like how she handled the session. She talked to senior leaders, she talked to junior leaders, she talked to the middle leaders, so that everyone gets something at the table. Like I mentioned earlier, is a buffet. If you don't like the pepper soup, you can go for the small chops, or you can go for fried rice, or you can go for the swallow. You can say there's nothing on the table for me. Thank you so much, Ma. The session was a wonderful one. Thank you, DK2, for moderating.
I had an amazing time. So I'm going to hand over to you right now and tell them what they should be expecting from you in the next couple of minutes.
Okay, yes. Briefly, I'm going to be sharing something about SECA. I'm sure you are aware of SECA Africa. Just for people who are not aware of SECA Africa, we are Africa's most sought after company when it has to do with coaching, strategy, emotional intelligence, training, and all of that. And we also deal on processes for business. We thrive on two main pillars, which is the behavioral change and the coaching and the trainings and certifications which you do on several areas that helps organization and individuals become better. And of course, the business processes part, which is to be the business study group. You can find our information on www.secaafrica.com, which I'm putting in the chat. And for next week, we have a very important training coming up, which is the mental health first aid level 1. It is a powerful tool that you need. You need to understand how to navigate that space, how to help someone navigate through mental health challenges. What is in it? Several aspects of the modules have been carefully created to help you, to equip you so that you become aptly skilled in that area. You can also check out that on our website at www.secaafrica.com. And of course, apart from that too, SECA also is very, very properly positioned in corporate tradings and helping companies become better at what they do, whether it has to do with their sales and marketing or the business processes or the procedures and projects and all of that. So you can also call on SECA Africa. But the beauty about everything is that each of our business components have a community that drives them. And that is very, very key. Just like the OSP is a community that drives the professionals and the content creators and the trainers and everyone in that space in SECA. So community is actually the underlying factor that helps us to not just service individuals, not just to service brands, not just to service organizations, but also to make it a rewarding place to be. Last month, Coach Sam, who is our founder and CEO, started a very important hands-on training called the Brand Community Mastermind. It was phenomenal. And last month's session was fantastic. You could see the energy in the room. You could see the excitement, the insights, the hands-on approaches, the strategies he was sharing that is helping businesses and participants go from just being good to great. I'm using Colin's words. Okay, September is another time for you to be in that class. If you were not in that class last month, you have the chance to be in the Brand Community Mastermind, September 2024. Every details you need about the Brand Community Mastermind, and you can find that on our social media handles at MySECA Africa. So whether you are talking about Facebook at MySECA Africa, whether it's on Twitter, which is now X at MySECA Africa, whether it's about Instagram at MySECA Africa, or maybe you're a very good person at LinkedIn at MySECA Africa. So all of the social media handles, you can get information about the Brand Community Mastermind, which is coming up September at MySECA Africa, Mental Health First Aid, level 1, and level 2 and level 3 at MySECA Africa. And of course, information about other programs that we've lined up. But very, very important, businesses that do not appreciate the power of community tend to lose out, because community drives your engagements, that drives your philosophy, that drives your brand promise. They help to not just to embody it, but also to express it and take it from just being you to being our thing. And that's key. And if you watch Coach Sam consistently, he has always done the our thing model, business model, not just the my thing business model. Of course, OSP is our thing business model, which he has properly captured in his book, Marketing Without a Budget. Now, that is not just a book you read, it's a training manual, it's a guiding principle, it's a compass, it is a tool for you to retooling and regain what you do as a community or what you do as a brand. The beauty about the beauty about Marketing Without a Budget is that you are learning from the people who have done that back to back over the years, built businesses from scratch. The likes of Coach Sam Obafemi, the likes of Othman Abdurrashid, the likes of Kizito Chris Chidi. You found that they are not just industry leaders, but they are excellent at what they do. And you are learning from them in the pages of a book for just 10,000 Naira. That's so fascinating. So this is my advice. Get a copy of Marketing Without a Budget for 10,000 Naira. Organizations that buy more than 10,000 Naira get an award recognition for being a bulk buyer. And if they go ahead and subscribe for a strategy session to help them implement the Marketing Without a Budget principles, they also get an award plaque for that. And if you buy more than 6, you get some discount in delivery charges, and we can do that for you. So you have nothing to lose from being a part of SECA Africa. You have nothing to lose. Whether you're part of the OSP or whether you're part of whatever community that come up, we are signing up for our certification programs, our life coaching, or you're signing up for the Brand Community Mastermind, you're signing up for mental health first aid, or you're signing up for emotional intelligence and anger management courses. It doesn't matter which one that is on the table. The most important thing is that we are always close to you. Now, don't be the distant participant. Get closer. Get into SECA. www.secaafrica.com gives you all of that. Thank you so much, DK. I can see you, but I can't see your video. I kind of like this picture. If you can hear me, you can take it off from here. Thank you. Okay, whilst DK is coming up, just to let you know that Coach Sam's resources can be found on www.samobafemi.com. samobafemi.com. You can get all of these resources at www.samobafemi.com. Just to make it quicker for you, you can use /shop, and it gives you everything about Coach Sam's resources And I'm so sure it has been a wonderful session yesterday, today, and looking at all that the speakers have talked about. I believe that next month's session will be wonderful. Okay, so just a quick one to help us improve on standards and quality. I'm going to be sharing a link. It's a Google form link. We would like you to quickly fill this link and help us assess our performance today at the Pan-African webinar. So the link is up. Please use that link, assess the performance at the Pan-African webinar. We'd love to hear your thoughts. We'd love to get areas where we need to improve. We'd love to hear your perspective about the speakers. We'd love to really, really see your honest assessment. It helps us to build on the results. It helps us to improve where we should, and it helps us to start something novel if nothing like that has is already existed. So whichever one it is, we need your feedback. The form is there on the chat. Please use that form. Assess what we've done today. It's been a wonderful session from the Wordsmith last night, where she talked about how we can talk to our young people, the emotional intelligence part of it, the styles we can use, the perspective, the tactics, the approaches. And this morning we had a very wonderful quantity survey talk to us about land banking and the several dynamics around land banking. And of course, we had Nanbol, who took it up to another level to talk about the technology behind some of the things that we do in the real life. You know, the likes of virtual gaming and virtual shopping and virtual everything. So wonderful session too by Nanbol. And of course, we just had a session by the Momina Fisa, who talked about all of that in the organizational, behavioral perspective, and why it is important for leaders to not just lead because it's a title, but to be authentic about their leadership. So it's key that you see how all this has been carefully created and sequenced to help us grow. One of the things we do with the Pan-African webinar is to constantly improve on our standards. Please use that link, help us do that. And I'm sure that next month's session will be a wonderful one. Thank you so much. If DK can hear me, I would love to hand over to her while she's at that. I would like to thank everyone. Thank you to all our speakers. Thank you to everyone who has attended since last night. Thank you everyone who joined us today. It's been a wonderful day. This is my advice. Let's apply whatever we've learned today. It helps us. Thank you so much. From me over here, it's goodbye. Thank you so much. Okay, to get the recordings, all the recordings are on the YouTube channel. So you can search for Sam Obafemi on the YouTube and you will see the recording. Yes, just look for Sam Obafemi on YouTube. You will see the recording. And not just that, we'll be reaching out to you via the WhatsApp number you're providing in that Google form. So it's important you fill that Google form because we'll capture your WhatsApp and also share the link to you. The recording is available on Coach Sam's YouTube channel. So you can always go there and not just watch this month's edition, but previous edition. Thank you very much, everyone, for participating. Thank you for being our guest, being our facilitator, sharing and talking about this. We will do this again next month. From me over here in Abuja, Nigeria, it's been a wonderful day. Thank you so much. And I'm sure DK has enjoyed moderating. Thank you so much, DK, for being an excellent moderator. Thank you.